Chapter 298. After picking up the ancient sword, Wang Lin scanned it with his divine sense and was shocked. He immediately revealed a look of ecstasy as he took a deep breath and carefully put the sword into his bag of holding. This sword was very powerful. This was something Wang Lin already knew, but he didn't expect the sword's structure to be similar to the restriction flag. There were countless restrictions engraved on the sword, and all of them had a single offensive attribute. How could this sword be weak? Wang Lin did a rough calculation and found that most of the offensive restrictions inside the sword were things he had never seen before. There were 3 restrictions in one group, and there was a total of 300 groups. These restrictions obviously couldn't be comprehended in a short period of time. Wang Lin suppressed the thought of immediately studying it and picked up the bag of holding left behind by the green-robed cultivator. After scanning the bag with his divine sense, Wang Lin revealed a strange expression. After a long time, Wang Lin let out a sigh and said, "Killing people in the celestial realm for their treasures is indeed very tempting." There were only 3 items inside the bag of holding. One of them was a piece of jade, another was the return cauldron, and the last was top-quality spirit stones. However, there were several hundred of them. Even with Wang Lin's mental fortitude, his heart couldn't help but pound when he saw several hundred top-quality spirit stones. He subconsciously looked around and began to laugh at himself. It seems like my mental fortitude is still not enough. It's no wonder that Wang Lin is like this. After all, top-quality spirit stones are very rare in Suzaku. In fact, even on the cultivation planet the Delu sect is on, top-quality spirit stones are rare. However, the Delu sect has been around for tens of thousands of years, so they naturally have some in stock. After looking at the piece of jade, Wang Lin completely understood what was going on. After going in and out of the celestial realm several times, the Delu sect found a total of 37 fragments and secretly placed transfer arrays in each of them. However, these transfer arrays were built in the celestial realm, so normal spirit stones couldn't activate them. This was why the green-robed cultivator had so many top-quality spirit stones in his bag of holding. Through his understanding, Wang Lin knew that a lot of the cultivators that entered the celestial realm had their own transfer array like the Delu sect. Only those that came here for the first time or cultivators that relied on insects would choose to ascend to the celestial realm and randomly fall through the vortex. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he picked up the return cauldron. His heart skipped a beat. This return cauldron's function was to return to the cultivation planet he came from. If he activated the return cauldron, would he return to planet Suzaku or the Delu sect? Wang Lin pondered for a bit before putting the return cauldron away, separating it from his own. If he took the wrong one and returned to the Delu sect, it would be dangerous. After doing all this, Wang Lin threw the piece of jade in his hand forward. With a thought, the jade began to glow, and a formation slowly appeared in the air. There were 2 grooves on the formation, clearly for spirit stones. Without a word, Wang Lin took out 2 top-quality spirit stones and threw them into the groove. Then the formation began to activate. The jade grew brighter and brighter, and an illusory map appeared on it. Wang Lin wasn't unfamiliar with this image. It was the same image that every cultivator that entered the celestial realm saw when they fell. It was like a mirror being smashed to the ground. In this image there were 37 gray fragments. They were bright and they formed a stark contrast with the others. As Wang Lin looked at the image, he recalled where his fragments were when he fell from the vortex. His eyes lit up and he found where he was. He pointed at one of the fragments with his right hand, and the image disappeared. The formation was fully activated, and Wang Lin's figure disappeared in the air. Somewhere at the edge of the celestial realm, there was a violent wind. There was a giant crack in the sky, and gusts of cold wind came out from it. The entire world seemed to be enveloped by the power of the crack. There were no mountains in that place. Instead, it was a desert. Countless years ago, there were mountains and water here. However, after the calamity, An immortal's treasure, the Blackwind immortal sword, was smashed into this place. It tore the space apart and formed this crack. As for the sword, it also shattered the moment it tore open space. It turned into a violent wind that blew endlessly at this place. At this moment, a formation appeared in the sky. The formation flickered with a bright light, forming a defensive barrier that blocked the wind outside. However, the barrier was shaking violently, as though it could shatter at any moment. Wang Lin's figure appeared inside the formation. He carefully looked around and frowned. This place was clearly too different from the fragment he was on before. If the fragment he was on before wasn't that damaged, then this place was completely destroyed. Logically speaking, why would the Delu sect set up a transportation formation in a place like this? Wang Lin pondered for a bit. Seeing the barrier shaking even more violently, he charged out of the formation. The moment he walked out of the barrier, Wang Lin immediately felt the knife-like wind hitting his body. The formation behind him slowly disappeared, hidden by a special method. There was only one sound left in this world, and that was the sobbing of the wind. It was as if there were countless people crying in the surroundings. This feeling became clearer as Wang Lin's body continued to fall. The moment he landed on the sand, Wang Lin suddenly became vigilant. He looked behind him and saw that as the wind blew by, black figures slowly appeared in the distance. Wang Lin was shocked. He saw these black figures, but his divine sense didn't sense them. Without a word, he slapped his bag of holding and the restriction banner appeared in his hand. At this moment, the black figures gradually became clearer. Wang Lin's expression immediately became strange. These figures were all beautiful young women. These women wore rainbow-colored clothes, and behind them was a group of children holding trays with countless celestial fruits and wine. These people were talking and laughing as they walked toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin frowned. These people seemed to be talking and laughing, but strangely, there was no sound coming from them. The only sound was the sobbing of the wind. These people gradually got closer and closer. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed as he saw some black shadows appear above them. These black shadows slowly revealed themselves to be youths. They were standing on clouds and flying with the group. It was as if they were guarding the group, and their gazes would occasionally sweep the area. Wang Lin took a deep breath and put away the restriction banner. At this moment, these people had already arrived in front of Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't dodge at all and let them walk past him. One of the children actually passed through Wang Lin's body. It wasn't until the group was far away that Wang Lin let out a bitter smile. He had already noticed that these weren't real people, but illusions. This fragment of the celestial realm must have a mysterious force that could recreate scenes of the celestial realm from the past. Wang Lin looked at the figures that disappeared into the distance and felt melancholy in his heart. These people must have existed back then, but now they were gone with the wind, leaving behind only this illusion. What exactly happened to the celestial realm back then? Why was it destroyed to such a degree? This question appeared in Wang Lin's mind again. He pondered for a bit and followed the illusions from afar. These people walked further and further away. After a long time, they stopped at a certain location. Wang Lin carefully observed them from behind. He immediately noticed that after these people stopped, the illusions changed again. A palace-like building appeared. There were many tables inside, and these people placed celestial fruits and wine on them. Behind the tables sat several sage-like cultivators. These people were chatting and laughing. Sometimes they would wave their hands and spells would appear on their fingers as if they were trying to prove something. Wang Lin looked at the scene before him, especially at the spells of the sage-like cultivators. He took a deep breath. These people didn't use any spells at all. All of their spells were very natural. It was as if the power of the world was in their hands and they could use it at will. At that moment, one of them rose to his feet, a look of anger on his face. He pointed at one of the other people and loudly said a few words. Next, he waved his hand, causing a violet ball of lightning to appear. He pointed at the ball of lightning and tossed it up into the air, causing it to fly out of the hall. Wang Lin's gaze followed the ball of lightning, but at this moment, the originally beautiful sky suddenly changed. Black lightning flashed across the sky. The lightning quickly turned into a giant fist that smashed into the ball of lightning. The ball of lightning immediately collapsed, but the fist didn't stop at all and continued to descend from the sky. The expressions of the people inside the palace changed greatly. Two of them reacted quickly and flew out of the palace to check, but the giant fist formed by the lightning had already descended. The power of one punch! All of the celestials' bodies exploded into nothingness, and the entire palace collapsed. Only the two celestials that flew out first blocked the fist with seven-colored light. Their expressions changed greatly. At that moment, a blue ray of sword light spun in their direction from the distance. It tore open a huge rift in the sky, from which a black aura rushed out. Shortly after, a giant palm appeared in the sky and gently grabbed the sword in the blue light. With one squeeze, the sword cracked and collapsed into specks of blue light that disappeared into the crack. However, the sword sheath didn't collapse. Instead, after many cracks appeared on it, it disappeared into the crack in the sky. Chapter 299. At this moment, the illusion changed again. Many celestials flew into the sky from all directions. Their faces were filled with anger. But just at this moment, the hand that crushed the celestial sword suddenly flipped and pressed down. Immediately, the ground trembled, and a ray of silver light shot out from the palm. That ray of silver light descended from the sky and rapidly pierced toward Qin Wentian. Wang Lin was immersed in the illusion and his mind was shaken. The moment the silver light appeared, he was alerted and his expression changed. He quickly waved his hand and the beast trap flew out. It turned into a thunder frog and spat out a ball of lightning that collided with the silver light. A thunderous rumble echoed throughout the world. The thunder frog let out a roar and retreated several hundred feet. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy as he floated into the air and landed on the thunder frog's head. He looked up at the woman behind the silver light. "Red butterfly," Wang Lin said word for word. He was immersed in the illusion when this woman appeared out of nowhere and launched a sneak attack on him. If it wasn't for the fact that Wang Lin's divine sense was at the late stage of soul formation, he would have thought that the silver light was part of the illusion and would have been killed by this woman. Red Butterfly's expression was cold and her eyes were emotionless. She calmly looked at Wang Lin and slowly said, "So you know me. Speak, who are you?" Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he stared at the woman and smiled. "Who doesn't know the Heaven's Daughter of Shuiyu?" Red Butterfly's expression was calm as she said, "Not going to speak? Then, you will stay here today." With that, she raised her right hand and a silver light appeared. She coldly stared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin laughed. His eyes lit up and he said, "I heard that Lady Red Butterfly went from a mortal to the late stage of soul formation in 100 years. Although 100 years is short, to a mortal it is a lifetime. I wonder if your parents are still alive?" Red Butterfly frowned and waved the silver light in her hand. In an instant, the entire sky was filled with silver light that sprinkled towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin patted the thunder frog, causing its abdomen to bulge and spit out a ball of lightning. While the ball of lightning was still in the air, Wang Lin shouted, "Explode!" Suddenly, the lightning ball exploded, turning into bolts of lightning that intertwined with the silver light. With this obstruction, Wang Lin immediately retreated and fled far away. As for the thunder frog, after it spat out the thunderball, it immediately retreated with Wang Lin. While retreating, Thunder Frog loudly said, "Red Butterfly, do your parents have any other children? If they don't, then wouldn't they have no one to give you the bell? That is one of the reasons why people are unfilial." Red Butterfly frowned again as she coldly stared at Wang Lin. She immediately charged out and chased after him. As she moved, she waved her hand and a flying sword appeared above her head. With a point of her finger, the flying sword turned into a ray of light and flew out at a speed several times faster than before. This flying sword contained the power of a domain and was filled with ruthlessness. As it flew, countless snowflakes began to fall from the sky. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He slapped his bag of holding and the restriction flag appeared in his hand. With a wave of his hand, the flag was surrounded by a black fog. At the same time, a restriction aura came out from the black fog and turned into a dragon that charged at the flying sword. Then, not only did Wang Lin not retreat, he disappeared into the black fog. When he reappeared, he was dozens of feet behind Red Butterfly. His hand formed a seal and slivers of spiritual energy came out of his body, forming a vortex of black and white gas. At this moment, the domain of life and death spread out from the vortex. Red Butterfly frowned and coldly snorted, "You're courting death." As she spoke, she raised her right hand and made a grabbing motion behind her. Immediately, 5 strands of icy chi shot out from her fingertip. They grew in the air and turned into 5 snowy peaks that descended with a loud rumble. This snow is born in the sky and dies on the earth. Under the rotation of the vortex, Wang Lin's eyes were calm. Although his opponent was a late-stage soul formation cultivator, since she wanted to kill him, Wang Lin had to fight back. The vortex of the domain of life and death immediately grew larger. The moment the 5 snow mountains descended, they began to melt. By the time they landed on the vortex, they had already shrunk by half. The moment the snow mountain and the vortex collided, a sliver of the ruthless domain entered Wang Lin's body. His face immediately turned pale and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. The moment the blood appeared, it immediately turned into ice. Wang Lin felt his body being enveloped by the coldness of heaven and earth. The memories of his parents and loved ones in his mind began to fade. Wang Lin's heart was calm. He knew that once all the memories of his family disappeared, he would become a heartless killer. The ruthless domain in his mind would become a seed that would decide his life and death with a single thought from Red Butterfly. The domain of life and death circulated within his body. The scenes of turning into a mortal, the life and death of Dania's parents, the life and death of a mortal, instantly appeared in his mind. Borrowing this moment of clarity, Wang Lin shouted, "Go! 100 years is the life of a mortal. How can the heavens wipe away your parents? Red Butterfly, even if your parents enter the cycle of reincarnation, they will still be watching you from behind. Do you dare to turn around and take a look?" Although Red Butterfly's expression was the same as ever, Wang Lin could clearly feel that the ruthless domain had loosened. His own domain of life and death circulated like crazy. At the same time, his body quickly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was on top of the Thunder Frog several hundred meters away. As for the restriction banner, he grabbed it in his hand. With a shake, hundreds of restriction dragons flew out and attacked Red Butterfly. After a few breaths of time, Wang Lin finally forced the ruthless domain out of his body. His body was clear and he no longer felt any discomfort. At this moment, his expression was gloomy. What happened just now was extremely dangerous. If he had been the slightest bit careless, he would have become an object of reincarnation and would no longer have the right to fight against the heavens. The domain of a late-stage soul formation cultivator is indeed powerful. Wang Lin took a deep breath. In reality, the moment Red Butterfly launched her sneak attack, the battle between Wang Lin and Red Butterfly had already begun. Wang Lin had seen the Pure Ice mantra before. The cultivation of this mantra focused on releasing all of one's emotions and then crushing them one by one. This would allow one to reach a state where one's heart was as clear as ice. This was Red Butterfly's Tao heart. From the moment Wang Lin saw the Pure Ice mantra, he had been thinking that Red Butterfly had only cultivated for 100 years. Although this showed how talented she was, it was also a flaw that couldn't be erased. Without a long period of cultivation, no matter how strong her Tao heart was, it couldn't be compared to those old monsters who had cultivated for hundreds of years. Also, after 100 years, all of her emotions in the mortal world couldn't be erased. Therefore, the purpose of Wang Lin's parents' words was to evoke this woman's memories and break her Tao heart. Only by doing this would he have a chance of winning. However, this woman's Tao heart was very firm. Wang Lin had provoked her several times with words, but she didn't show any flaws. In the end, under Wang Lin's life and death domain, this woman's domain paused. This made Wang Lin know that his words had succeeded. Although he didn't say much and the effect wasn't obvious, he had planted a seed in this woman's heart. As long as this seed wasn't erased, this woman would never reach the soul transformation stage. Wang Lin took a deep breath. He knew that with Red Butterfly's talent, this seed couldn't be buried for too long. However, if he continued to provoke her and prove that his life and death domain was the true path of the heavens and that her emotionless domain wasn't truly emotionless, then this woman would no longer be scary. Red Butterfly ignored the dragons formed by the restriction. The moment the dragons closed in, Red Butterfly's origin soul left her body. She waved her hand and a blue ripple spread out. The restriction turned into ice sculptures and fell from the sky. She stared at the direction Wang Lin escaped to and her eyes became even colder. She could see through this person's goal at a glance. Normally, he wouldn't be able to shake her Tao heart, but this person's domain was very strange. It was actually a trace of life and death from the reincarnation cycle. The moment the 5 snow-capped mountains collided with the whirlpool, she clearly felt the domain of life and death descend upon her. A sliver of her childhood memory appeared in her mind. Although this memory was immediately dispelled by her, at this moment, that person said, "Even if you enter the cycle of reincarnation, your parents will still be watching over you." The moment these words came out, the memories in Red Butterfly's mind became a bit chaotic, and she couldn't help but pause for a moment. Although she had immediately erased them, she had lost the chance to kill the other party. A mere early-stage soul formation cultivator, but he is interesting. He knows how to ruin my Tao heart. This person can't be allowed to live. Red Butterfly's eyes lit up and returned to normal. She chased after Wang Lin. As Wang Lin moved, his right hand reached out and he put away the thunder frog. However, a late-stage soul formation cultivator's movement technique was not something an early-stage soul formation cultivator could compare to. Before he got far, he felt a cold aura behind him. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Just as he was about to escape, his mind suddenly became clear. He remembered the giant palm print he saw in the palace in the celestial realm fragment. He tried to comprehend it but failed in the end. At this moment, as he ran, the memory of the palm print became more and more profound in his mind. Gradually, he remembered the illusion he saw just now, the palm print that crushed the celestial sword and pressed down on the ground. The illusion of the palm print quickly combined with the palm print in the palace in his mind. With a flash of inspiration, Wang Lin's body suddenly flew into the sky. Red Butterfly chased after him and sneered. She thought, "It doesn't matter if you fly or move forward, you won't be able to escape this." Wang Lin suddenly stopped in the sky and looked down at the ground. He seemed to have understood something. His right hand subconsciously reached out and pressed down. Suddenly, the sky darkened. All kinds of strange energy gathered from all directions and formed a giant palm print under Wang Lin. It suddenly pressed down on Red Butterfly. For the first time, Red Butterfly's expression changed greatly. She wanted to retreat, but the palm print was very big. It instantly passed through Red Butterfly's body. The palm print landed on the ground and created a shockwave that spread far away. She was startled. She sensed her body and found nothing abnormal. She didn't know that this palm print was just a flash of inspiration from Wang Lin's mind. It didn't have any attack power, it was just for show. Chapter 300. After sending out that palm, all of the spiritual energy in Wang Lin's body disappeared. Luckily, he was very experienced with this due to the beast trap, so he quickly took out a pill and swallowed it. Then, before the pill completely melted, he threw out a piece of jade, opened the formation, picked a random fragment, and disappeared. When Red Butterfly raised her head, Wang Lin had already disappeared. Her eyes revealed a hint of coldness. To have a transfer array, this person's identity is not ordinary. His cultivation is extraordinary. He is bold, careful, has a strange domain, and has a lot of treasures. He must be an elite disciple of a rank 5 cultivation country in Suzaku. Red Butterfly's eyes lit up. After pondering a bit, she turned around and flew off into the distance to search for celestial spiritual energy. Wang Lin didn't look closely at the celestial fragment he chose this time. He casually pointed at one. When he appeared, he couldn't help but be startled. This place was like a world of fire. The ground was covered in dark red magma. Occasionally, there would be some hot bubbles that emitted a pungent smell. The sky was dark and there would occasionally be spatial cracks that looked like sharp blades flying across the sky. Wang Lin floated in the air and looked around. This celestial fragment was different from the previous two. It looked like it could collapse at any moment. The spatial rifts in the sky were like the mouths of demons that would devour people, causing them to feel fear just by looking at them. Wang Lin frowned. He couldn't figure out why the Delu sect would build their transfer array in such a dangerous place. Could it be that there was more celestial spiritual energy in such an environment? With this question in mind, Wang Lin flew out of the transfer array. He spread out his divine sense to avoid being affected by the spatial cracks as he slowly flew down. He flew down without any problems, but when Wang Lin was less than 1,000 feet from the ground, a spatial crack suddenly appeared next to him. Wang Lin was shocked. His divine sense didn't notice this, but he wasn't someone who had just entered the cultivation world. His reaction was very fast. The moment the spatial crack appeared, he moved several feet to the side. The crack appeared and disappeared just as quickly. It disappeared almost as soon as it appeared. Beads of sweat appeared on Wang Lin's forehead. He lowered his head and looked at the left side of his shirt. A large part of his shirt had disappeared, as if it had been devoured. He looked around cautiously. At that moment, in Wang Lin's opinion, this fragment was as dangerous as the land of the ancient gods. The appearance of the spatial rift was far too strange. There was no way to detect it in advance. Wang Lin thought for a moment, then cautiously descended. After enough time passed for an incense stick to burn, he finally landed 30 meters above the ground. This was a relatively safe height. Not only were there fewer spatial cracks, but the lava on the ground was also very weak. However, Wang Lin's caution did not decrease in the slightest. He slowly flew forward. He wanted to see why the Daluo sect would set up a teleportation formation here. His surroundings were not completely silent. Occasionally, there would be some rumbling coming from the ground. Apart from that, there was also the sound of burning flames and popping bubbles. When these sounds were mixed together, it made one's heart involuntarily heat up. As he flew, Wang Lin gradually came to understand the terrain of this fragment. This fragment wasn't very big. More accurately speaking, it was the smallest of the 3 he had seen so far. There was a large hole in the southeast of this fragment. Aside from that, there was nothing else out of the ordinary. After a long time, Wang Lin flew to the top of the hole. When he looked down, he saw that it was pitch black without any light. He muttered to himself for a moment, but he didn't rashly enter. Instead, he used several days to carefully search through this spatial fragment. After confirming that there was nothing out of the ordinary, Wang Lin returned to the top of the hole. His eyes flashed. Just as he was about to enter, there was a sudden flash of light in the sky. A teleportation formation appeared in the air. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He had been hesitating about whether or not to enter this place. Now that someone had come, if someone opened the way, the danger he was in would be greatly reduced. His body suddenly disappeared from the spot. At this moment, two figures appeared from the teleportation formation in the air. Both of them had a sword on their back. After walking out of the formation, one of them immediately said, "Sixth junior brother, this is your first time here. You must be careful of the spatial cracks around you. This place is very dangerous. You need to constantly use the full search art." The person beside him quickly lowered his head and nodded. The two of them carefully flew toward the hole. Along the way, several spatial cracks appeared around the two of them, but the two of them seemed to be able to detect them in advance. Often, they would be able to dodge the spatial cracks before they appeared. Their speed was several times faster than Wang Lin's, and they arrived outside the hole. These two were both at the early stage of soul formation, so they naturally couldn't detect Wang Lin's divine sense, which was at the late stage of soul formation. "Third senior brother, is this the celestial beast palace from the past?" The sixth junior brother looked at the hole and asked in confusion. "No, this place used to be one of the 16 celestial beast palaces in the celestial realm. The ancestor found it by chance after entering the celestial realm several times. However, there should be a lot of people who know about this place. The last time I came here, I saw 3 groups of people looking for the celestial beast spirit." The third senior brother nodded. Then he seemed to remember something and warned, "After entering this place, you can't use teleportation, so you must be careful." As the two of them spoke, their bodies sank into the hole. Wang Lin's figure appeared outside. His body flickered and he quietly followed them inside. He spread out his divine sense and carefully observed the surroundings while staring at the two people in front of him. "Third senior brother, after so many years, we don't know if there are any remnants of the celestial beast spirit. Even if there are remnants, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to obtain them with our strength. Sixth junior brother, you might not know this, but if there are remnants of the celestial beast spirit, they must be extremely weak after so many years of being nourished by the celestial realm chi. Once we find one and send it to the sect, we will have made a great contribution. Back then, the ancestor obtained an immortal Kirin beast's spirit here. That was how she unified the divine shield planet and made the Daluo sect famous." Wang Lin's heart skipped a beat as he listened to the two. So this was where the Celestial Beast Palace was located. Although he didn't know what the Celestial Beast Palace was, he had some guesses from the name and the conversation between the two. This place should be the habitat of the celestial beasts in the celestial realm. Not all the celestial beasts went extinct during the calamity. There were still some remaining celestial beasts here. This was also the reason why there was a teleportation array here. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he followed the two down. The cave wasn't very deep, so it didn't take long for them to reach the bottom. After the two brothers landed, they immediately flew forward. Wang Lin scanned the area with his divine sense and was shocked. At the bottom of the cave was a very large cave. It was like a beehive with many entrances and exits. He pondered for a bit before flying toward one of the entrances. This entrance was where the two brothers had entered. While flying, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly narrowed. His divine sense saw that the two brothers had stopped about 100 feet away from him. In front of the two of them was a stone statue dozens of feet wide. This stone statue was of a bird beast with giant wings. Back then, the ancestor found the immortal Kirin beast here. "Junior brother, help protect me while I collect the celestial realm chi." After the sixth junior brother heard this, he quickly pointed at the sword on his back. The sword immediately flew up and floated above his head. He carefully looked around. If there was any movement, he would immediately attack. Third senior brother looked at his junior brother with satisfaction and took a deep breath. He used some unknown spell, and the veins on his hands swelled up. He let out a roar and his hands suddenly pressed against the stone statue. As thunderous rumbles echoed, the stone statue slowly moved to the side. His face turned pale and he retreated a few steps. His hands formed a seal and a powerful gust of wind immediately landed on the stone statue. The stone statue moved a bit more, revealing a fist-sized black hole. Strands of celestial realm chi came out from it. The third senior brother immediately slapped his bag of holding and took out a small blue gourd. The celestial realm chi was immediately absorbed by the gourd. Sixth junior brother, our harvest this time is pretty good. This celestial realm chi is enough to form 2 crystals. You and I each have one, so we have met the sex minimum requirement. The third senior brother laughed as he placed his hands on the stone statue and slowly placed it back in place. The sixth junior brother nodded. He looked at the gourd and said, "This must be the soul-cleansing gourd, right?" The third senior brother took out a pill. After eating one, he shook the gourd and proudly said, "That's right, this is the soul-cleansing gourd personally refined by the ancestor. There are only 3 of them in the entire sect. With this treasure, we don't need to waste time condensing. This way we can quickly absorb celestial realm chi." When Wang Lin saw this, he couldn't help but place his attention on the gourd. This gourd was definitely a rare treasure. If he had it, he wouldn't need to waste time condensing celestial realm chi and would be able to absorb even more celestial realm chi. He let out a sneer. From the way these 2 were dressed, they were the disciples of the Delu Sword sect. They had already formed a grudge with the sect, so they wanted to find a way to steal this treasure. Both of them were at the early stage of soul formation, but the 6th junior brother had just reached the soul formation stage, so his cultivation hadn't stabilized yet. However, these 2 must have some powerful treasures, so it would be difficult to steal them. Wang Lin pondered a bit. He didn't act rashly and waited for an opportunity. After the 2 of them put away the gourd, they discussed for a bit before flying toward the cave. This place was full of twists and turns. If it wasn't for Wang Lin's divine sense locking onto the 2 of them, he would have easily lost them. After the 2 of them flew for a long time, the third senior brother suddenly stopped. He stared into the distance and revealed a strange expression. In the distance, where that person was looking at, there was a skeleton leaning against the wall. There was an orb of light in the skeleton's hand that gave off waves of fusion light. The 301st child, Wang Lin, scanned it with his divine sense and frowned. This skeleton was very strange. The bones were grayish-white, a strange color. It was not strange to find skeletons here, but after a long time, the color of the bones would change, and there would be signs of corrosion. However, this skeleton did not show any such signs. There was also the ball of light in the skeleton's hand. There was a trace of celestial aura coming from it. It was clearly not an ordinary item. However, for some unknown reason, Wang Lin felt a sense of crisis. He pondered for a moment and watched coldly. Third senior brother's eyes flashed and he said, "Sixth junior brother, go up and take a look. What is that ball of light in the skeleton's hand?" Sixth junior brother hesitated for a moment, then nodded and stepped forward. He walked a few steps until he reached the skeleton. Just as he was about to lean in, Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and the sense of danger in his heart became even more obvious. At this moment, the third senior brother suddenly shouted, "Retreat!" As he spoke, he waved his right hand and the sword on his back flew up. A ray of sword light flew out and slashed the space in front of the sixth junior brother. With a bang, the skeleton turned into dust and disappeared. The ball of light flew up and a thin thread suddenly shot out from it. In a flash, it drilled into the center of the sixth junior brother's eyebrows. At this moment, the sword light arrived. The thread let out an unwilling roar, turned around, and disappeared into the hole on the side. This happened as fast as lightning. The sixth junior brother's forehead was covered in sweat. He stared at the third senior brother without saying a word. "Sixth junior brother, chase it." Third senior brother's eyes were filled with ecstasy. After saying those words, he sped off in the direction that the thin thread was heading. The sixth junior brother hesitated for a moment, then clenched his teeth and followed. Senior brother, what is that? We're pretty lucky. If I'm not wrong, this is the food of celestial beasts. Celestial beasts love this food the most. Normally, wherever this food exists, there will be the spirit of a celestial beast nearby. The skeleton just now must have been attacked by this beast, and its flesh and blood were devoured. Junior brother, you don't mind. I've only just released it, otherwise I wouldn't have let you go and take a look. The third senior brother explained as he chased. The sixth junior brother lowered his head and slowly said, "A mere celestial beast's food already has such power. If it had entered my forehead, I would have become a skeleton by now. Junior brother, don't panic. This thing only attacks with its body and doesn't have any spells. Furthermore, it is extremely afraid of spells. As long as it doesn't enter your body, it won't be too difficult to deal with. You only need to use your sword energy to cut it in half." The third junior brother laughed and said. As the two chased, Wang Lin followed behind. His eyes flickered and he sneered in his heart. Although the two of them seemed to be full of camaraderie, with Wang Lin's experience, he could tell that the third senior brother had ulterior motives. The scene just now was clearly because this person noticed something was wrong, so he ordered his junior brother to take a look and use him as bait to lure out the so-called celestial beast's food. Wang Lin followed behind at a moderate pace and stared ahead with his divine sense. He saw the two of them going through the caves one by one as they chased. Gradually, the two of them went deeper and deeper into the cave. The third senior brother felt a bit uneasy. Although he had come to the celestial beast mansion once before, he had never gone so deep. He couldn't help but hesitate if he should continue the chase. Just at this moment, Wang Lin saw with his divine sense that the celestial beast's food slowed down and disappeared into a fist-sized hole at the end. Wang Lin's divine sense followed closely. His expression suddenly changed. Inside the small hole, the walls were filled with countless thin lines. One end of these thin lines was fixed to the wall while the other end was slowly swaying. In the middle of the cave was a white jade that exuded dense celestial world aura. Next to the jade was a skeleton. This skeleton was dark and emitted a black light. He was wearing tattered clothes, but there was a golden piece of metal on his chest that emitted bursts of pressure. In addition to this person was holding a flying sword. This flying sword looked very similar to the celestial box zero that Wang Lin saw in the illusion. In addition, what shocked Wang Lin the most was that he clearly saw a black line drilling back and forth on the skeleton. Every time it drilled into a hole, the skeleton would tremble as if it was coming back to life. Wang Lin stopped. Without any hesitation, he backed up and found a place to hide. He slapped his bag of holding and took out the restriction flag. With a wave of the flag, it wrapped around his body until he was no different from the surrounding walls. The third senior brother chased in front and also spread out his divine sense. He immediately noticed the abnormality inside the small hole. His body stopped and his face turned pale. There were probably tens of thousands of celestial beasts' food inside the small hole. At this moment, the sixth junior brother also noticed this and his expression became ugly. The two of them looked at each other and slowly backed up. However, it was too late. Black lines suddenly charged out from the small hole and turned into rays of silver light. In the blink of an eye, they arrived before the two of them. The third senior brother's expression changed greatly. Without any hesitation, he shouted, "Dual sword descent!" The sword flew into the sky and slashed down. At the same time, the sixth junior brother also clenched his teeth and slashed down with his sword. Suddenly, the two sword energies intersected like dragons and slashed down. All of the black lines in front of them disappeared. The sword energy landed on the small hole and created a 30-foot wide gap. The power of the two swords caused many parts of the celestial beast mansion, which wasn't very sturdy to begin with, to immediately collapse. More and more fine threads came out of the gap. Among these black lines, there was a black line that was extremely eye-catching. "Let's go." The third senior brother immediately retreated. The sixth junior brother quickly followed. His heart was beating like crazy and his scalp was numb. The speed at which the two of them retreated was obviously inferior to the fine threads. They'd only retreated a few steps when those fine threads blotted out the heavens and covered the earth as they chased after them. Just as they were about to charge over, a fierce expression flashed in third senior brother's eyes, and without saying a word, he pressed his palm onto sixth junior brother's back. The sixth junior brother suddenly turned around and revealed a mocking expression. His right hand reached out and grabbed the third senior brother's arm. He sneered. "Third senior brother, what are you doing?" As he spoke, his aura suddenly changed. Before, he was a cultivator who had just entered the soul formation stage, but now, his cultivation level immediately increased. In the blink of an eye, he was at the mid-stage of soul formation. With one pull, the third senior apprentice brother's bag of holding and sword were grabbed by this person, and he threw them to the back. "You!" Third senior martial brother turned pale with fright. Before he could finish speaking, the huge swarm of fine threads surged forward and drilled into every part of his body. In the blink of an eye, the physical body of an early deity transformation cultivator was reduced to a corpse. His origin soul flew out from his body, but just at this moment, the sixth junior brother's eyes lit up. He formed a seal and shot out a few seals to block the black lines. His origin soul paused for a moment and lost his chance to escape. However, a black line behind him turned into black lightning and entered his origin soul. After it circled around his origin soul withered and was devoured by the black line. "I'm sorry, senior brother." The sixth junior brother saw this with his divine sense and moved even faster. With his senior brother blocking the black lines, he had a chance to escape. When the sixth junior brother passed by where Wang Lin was hiding, Wang Lin's eyes lit up, but he didn't act rashly. The sixth junior brother passed by Wang Lin, and a few breaths later, a large amount of black lines chased after him. When the sixth junior brother passed by where Wang Lin was hiding, Wang Lin became very nervous. As the black lines passed by, the black line paused for a moment before continuing to chase after the sixth junior brother. After the black lines passed by, Wang Lin waited for a few breaths before charging toward the hole created by the sword energy. His body was as fast as lightning, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared inside the hole. At this moment, more black lines appeared on the wall and charged toward him. Wang Lin let out a snort and waved the restriction flag in his hand. His body was surrounded by black fog to block the black lines. He knew that time was of the essence, so he didn't hesitate to grab the flying sword in the skeleton's hand. However, the flying sword suddenly released a powerful pressure. It was as if Wang Lin's hand was pressing down on a thorn. Tiny blood spots appeared on his hand and he quickly withdrew his hand. At this moment, the threads outside the cave had already turned around, and the one leading them was the strange, black thread. After Wang Lin saw this, he gave up on the flying sword and grabbed the jade. The jade immediately flew into his hand. He decisively gave up on the idea of taking the piece of metal from the skeleton's chest. He used his fastest speed to rush out of the cave. The moment he left, the black lines returned to the hole. Shortly after, there was a loud roar and the black lines charged out. One end of the line shook as it chased after Wang Lin. Along the way, Wang Lin used his full speed to pass through one cave after another. As he moved, he placed his finger on his forehead and called out wandering souls to leave behind a bit of his divine sense. This was to confuse the wandering souls. As he escaped, Wang Lin noticed that the wandering souls he had thrown out were quickly disappearing. His divine sense clearly saw that the black lines seemed to have gone crazy. They didn't go through the caves, but instead went through the walls and destroyed the wandering souls one by one. There were many caves in the celestial beast mansion. Many of them had been buried by the calamity in the past, and the 2 rays of sword energy had caused many caves to collapse. At this moment, the crazy black lines were rampaging through the cave. One by one, the caves couldn't withstand the destructive force and collapsed. Chapter 302. This immediately caused a series of chain reactions, causing many caves to collapse in the blink of an eye. While Wang Lin was flying, he tried to teleport, but every time he tried, he would be interrupted by a mysterious force. He sighed and stopped trying. Instead, he increased his speed and charged upward. Gradually, he could feel that the number of wandering souls was no longer decreasing. It was clear that the black line had completely lost track of Wang Lin's location. But just at this moment, a series of rumbling sounds came from all directions. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he took a few steps back. The cave in front of him suddenly collapsed. Wang Lin scanned it with his divine sense and found that more than half of the celestial beast palace had been buried. If a mortal saw this, they would be at a loss and disappear from the walls. His eyes were calm as he touched the beast trap on his wrist and looked forward, waiting for the 6th junior brother to arrive. Not long after, a person suddenly came out from the wall that Wang Lin was looking at. The moment this person appeared, he put on a cautious expression and looked at Wang Lin. He took a closer look and then laughed. He clasped his hands and said, "Fellow cultivator, I'm afraid only the 2 of us are left in this collapsed celestial beast palace." Wang Lin chuckled. He already knew that this person must have found out that he was following. It seemed like this person was still hiding his cultivation. It was worth thinking about. Wang Lin calmly asked, "Since this place has collapsed, why didn't fellow cultivator find a way out? Why did you come to my place?" The 6th junior brother looked around but didn't go forward. He stood there and said, "Fellow cultivator must have seen the celestial realm's food as you followed me." Wang Lin faintly smiled and avoided the question. Instead, he casually said, "Why does fellow cultivator say that?" The 6th junior brother's eyes lit up and revealed a strange light. He smiled. "Fellow cultivator doesn't need to worry. I'm Sun Lei. I'm sure fellow cultivator saw what just happened. I'm not afraid of fellow cultivator knowing that I'm not a member of the Delu Sword sect." Wang Lin didn't say anything. As Sun Lei spoke, he casually took a step forward. Just as he was about to take a few more steps, he suddenly saw a mysterious smile on Wang Lin's face. His heart thumped and he stopped. "Fellow Taoist, if you take another step forward, I'm going to attack." Wang Lin's expression was the same as usual as he said faintly. Sun Lei pondered a bit and smiled. "Fellow cultivator, I won't beat around the bush. There were 3 items in the cave with the celestial food. One was a celestial jade, the second was a celestial sword, and the third was a golden piece of metal. How many did you get?" Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he said, "That black thread returned too quickly, so I didn't get it." Sun Lei furrowed his brows. He could tell at a glance that this person was only at the early divine transformation stage, but this person's divine sense was very strange. If it wasn't for the fact that Sun Lei had cultivated a technique that specialized in detecting divine sense, it would have been very difficult for him to discover that this person was following him. Even then, he'd only noticed this person in the instant he flashed past him when he was being pursued by the immortal realm's food, and he'd used a secret technique to record the fluctuations of this person's spiritual sense before he was barely able to locate this person. In his opinion, this person must be hiding his cultivation like him, so he didn't want to act rashly unless it was absolutely necessary. Furthermore, after this conversation, this person's calmness made Sun Lei even more certain that this person was hiding his cultivation. Otherwise, an early divine transformation cultivator wouldn't be able to act like this when facing a mid-divine transformation cultivator. There was also something else that made Sun Lei feel a deep sense of dread. The walls around him gave off a faint aura that made him feel a sense of danger. This aura grew stronger the moment he took a seemingly casual step forward. Thinking of this, Sun Lei smiled and cupped his fists. Fellow Taoist, that celestial jade was condensed from countless years of celestial energy. It can be said to be a priceless treasure, but compared to it, the most precious thing is still the celestial sword. I only took a quick glance at the sword, so I can't determine its attribute, but it's clearly not an ordinary item. In addition, there is also the metal piece. I'm guessing that it should be a defensive celestial artifact. Wang Lin nodded and didn't say anything. The more he acted like this, the more Sun Lei felt that this person was unfathomable. Sun Lei believed that this person already knew what he was talking about, so he immediately said, "Fellow Taoist, if it was just any one of us, it would be very difficult to obtain these 3 treasures from the celestial food. However, if you and I work together, our chances of obtaining these treasures will be much higher." Wang Lin let out a smile and said, "Oh? Why should I help you?" Sun Lei was startled, but he was a smart person, so he immediately understood and smiled. "I only want the celestial sword. You can have the other 2 items. How about it?" Wang Lin shook his head. Sun Lei's expression turned a bit ugly. "Fellow Taoist, if you insist on taking the celestial sword, then take it. The other 2 items will belong to me. With your knowledge, I'm sure you can tell that the celestial sword's value is much higher than the other 2 items. However, if you put the celestial jade and the metal piece together, it's almost the same." Wang Lin pondered for a moment. There was a powerful restriction on the celestial sword. Unless it was refined for a long time, it would be impossible to pick it up. Wang Lin was confident that he wouldn't be able to hold the celestial sword in a short period of time. The person in front of him clearly didn't know about the celestial sword. Thinking up to this point, he smiled and said, "I don't want the celestial sword." Sun Lei let out a sigh of relief. His expression eased up and he smiled. "If that's the case, why don't we explore the cave again?" Wang Lin shook his head and said, "I'm not interested in the other 2 items." "You?" Sun Lei's eyes immediately turned gloomy. If it wasn't for the fact that the other party was hiding his cultivation, he would have already killed him. Sun Lei took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. The more this person acted like this, the more likely it was that he was hiding his cultivation. Otherwise, how could he dare to speak to him like this? Wang Lin calmly looked at Sun Lei and slowly said, "Fellow cultivator son, you want me to help you obtain the celestial sword, but you only want to give me 2 items that I'm not sure I can obtain. Do you think I'm as easy to fool as a 3-year-old child?" Sun Lei took a deep breath as he stared at Wang Lin and asked, "Fellow cultivator, what do you want?" He was too lazy to waste any more time. If the other party was unwilling to go, then he would take the risk himself. Wang Lin's voice was calm as he slowly said, "I saw that before fellow cultivator came here, you seemed to have noticed the spatial cracks in the sky." Sun Lei laughed as he slapped his bag of holding and took out a piece of jade. He threw it at Wang Lin and said, "The Great Search Method is a technique of the Dalu Sword sect. What harm is there in giving it to fellow cultivator?" Wang Lin caught the jade and put it away with his divine sense. He said, "Fellow cultivator is indeed straightforward. Then I won't be shy. Give me the green gourd from your 3rd senior brother's bag of holding, and I'll take the risk to explore with you." "No," Sun Lei said without any hesitation. "The spirit cleansing gourd is something that I must obtain in order to sneak into the Dalu Sword sect. Fellow cultivator, please don't make it difficult for me." Wang Lin frowned. Sun Lei clenched his teeth and said, "Fellow cultivator, I can't give you the gourd, but if you help me get the sword, I can give you the spirit cleansing wood. Although the effect of this wood is inferior to the spirit-cleansing gourd, it is still a rare treasure. It has the ability to absorb celestial spiritual energy. With that, he painfully took out a white piece of wood from his bag of holding. After letting Wang Lin look at it, he put it away. Wang Lin pondered a bit. For a spirit-cleansing gourd, he was going to use up his magic treasure to kill this person. Although it wasn't worth it, this was the celestial realm, and it was extremely dangerous. Red Butterfly was also eyeing him. If he used up too many magic treasures and met Red Butterfly or other powerful cultivators in the future, he would be in danger. Thinking about this, Wang Lin nodded and said, "Fine, give me the wood and I'll help you get to the cave. Whether or not you can get the celestial sword will depend on your luck. If you can't get it after entering, then the wood will still belong to me." Sun Lei nodded and said, "Of course, but I can't give you the wood right now. It won't be too late to give it to you when we get to the cave. Fellow cultivator, please forgive me, but I also need to be on guard, right?" Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He waved his sleeve and said, "Fellow cultivator, lead the way." Without saying a word, Sun Lei moved toward the cave entrance that hadn't collapsed yet. He and Wang Lin walked one in front and one behind. The two of them maintained a certain distance between each other. It was clear that neither of them trusted the other and were on guard against each other. Sun Lei sneered inwardly. "Even if you're hiding your cultivation, if I were to obtain the immortal sword and try to snatch it by force, I'll just take out the sex treasure and risk leaving the immortal realm. I'll definitely be able to kill you in one strike." This was also one of the reasons why he invited Wang Lin to search for treasures, even though he was worried that Wang Lin would hide his cultivation. "Today is the third watch. I ask fellow cultivator to keep your vote. Last month, I was fourth. This month, I ask fellow cultivators to let me sit firmly in third." Chapter 303. The two of them were decisive people. After reaching an agreement, they didn't hesitate and headed straight for the cave. They passed through one cave after another until they were 300 feet away from the cave. From this position, they could see the dark cave entrance from afar. Not far away, there's a skeleton. It's the third senior brother who was killed by Sun Lei. The celestial food is food for celestial beasts. Celestial beasts can eat it to make their bodies stronger, but it's useless for us. I didn't expect there to be so much celestial beast food in the celestial beast mansion. All of this must be because of the black celestial food. Do you know why the black celestial food exists? Sun Lei looked at the cave entrance and asked softly. Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he said, "It must be related to the black skeleton." He clearly remembered that the first time he scanned it with his divine sense, he saw the black strand shuttling through the skeleton. Every time it moved, the skeleton would tremble as if it could revive at any time. "You're quite knowledgeable. The black celestial food must have used some unknown method to devour the body of the skeleton during the calamity of the celestial realm countless years ago. It even devoured the celestial consciousness and primordial spirit. Then it hid inside the skeleton, and after a long time, it gained cultivation. Because of its existence, there are so many celestial beasts here. I'm afraid most of them are its offspring." Sun Lei took out a few jade slips from his storage space and placed them on the ground. Wang Lin was silent. Sun Lei said, "Fellow cultivator, I'll use a spell to lure out these celestial beasts. We'll destroy as many as we can. Once the black strand appears, we'll immediately escape and meet up at the previous location." Wang Lin nodded and waved his right hand. The beast trap immediately flew out and turned into a thunder frog. Thunder frog. Sun Lei's eyes narrowed as he looked deeply at Wang Lin. He was even more certain that this person was hiding his cultivation. Otherwise, how could he capture such a rare high-rank spirit beast? "Let's begin," Wang Lin said calmly. Without saying a word, Sun Lei's hands formed a seal, and he let out a roar. Suddenly, the sword on his back flew into the air and turned into a ray of sword light that pierced into the cave. Suddenly, a muffled sound came from within and the sword turned around. Behind the sword was a giant ball of thread. After the ball of thread appeared, countless wriggling threads flew out and connected with each other. They were densely packed as they charged toward Wang Lin. This scene caused one's scalp to go numb. Once the wriggling creatures pounced on the skeleton on the ground would be drenched in blood. Sun Lei let out a roar and the jade slips he had left on the ground shattered one by one. Wisps of seven-colored smoke came out from the slips and drilled into the celestial realm thread. The threads twisted as they fell to the ground and began to twitch. However, there were just too many of them. In just a few breaths' time, the seven-colored smoke had completely dissipated. Sun Lei retreated without saying a word and pointed at his flying sword. Streams of thick sword chi flew out and landed on the thin lines. Each time a stream of sword chi was fired, a large portion of the thin lines would be destroyed. Even so, he could see that the cave passage was still surrounded by the endless thin threads. They rushed over recklessly, wanting to devour all living things. Sun Lei continued to back up. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The thunder frog's stomach suddenly swelled up and the sound of thunder came from within. Then it opened its mouth and spat out a ball of lightning. The ball of lightning flashed with lightning as it shot forward. In an instant, the thin threads were like crops being harvested by a sickle, twisting their bodies and dissipating into thin air. Sun Lei was startled. He didn't expect the ball of lightning to be so powerful. His fear of Wang Lin deepened. The ball of lightning contained the power of the heavens and earth. As it charged forward, it was pushed back more than 30 meters before disappearing. However, the threads continued to charge forward. Wang Lin retreated and pointed at the thunder frog with his right hand. The thunder frog roared and its stomach swelled up again. It spat out another ball of lightning. The ball of lightning was surrounded by rings of lightning as it charged toward the threads. The ball of lightning was powerful, and it brought with it waves of lightning. For the first time, the countless threads seemed to be afraid. They didn't want to charge forward and wanted to retreat. However, at this moment, a sharp roar came from within the threads. Then, a black dot appeared in the middle of the threads. A thick black thread wriggled out and fearlessly charged toward the ball of lightning. The thunder frog had spat out 2 balls of lightning in a row. Its eyes were filled with exhaustion and its body was a bit listless. The moment Wang Lin saw the black thread appear, he waved his right hand and the thunder frog returned to his wrist. Then, without any hesitation, he turned around and fled. As he fled, he also pointed at his forehead and summoned many wandering souls. As for Sun Lei, his eyes revealed a hint of hesitation. He let out a sigh and gave up on the idea of staying here and waiting for the strands to catch up to Wang Lin. After all, this was simply too dangerous. If he wasn't careful, he would die. As a result, the moment Wang Lin retreated, he also retreated. He chose another direction and quickly escaped. As for the ball of lightning, after the black thread charged into it, its body trembled and the ball of lightning suddenly shrank. Finally, with a series of crackling sounds, the ball of lightning completely disappeared. The black thread let out a sharp roar. Its body was no longer pure black. Instead, it was slightly purple, and there were even traces of lightning flowing around it. Its body shrank and suddenly shot forward. Its speed was so fast that even divine sense couldn't lock onto it. The place it chose to go wasn't where Wang Lin was going, but Sun Lei. As Wang Lin moved forward, his expression suddenly changed. He shook the restriction flag, sat down cross-legged, and swallowed a pill. A suction force came from the beast trap. After a long time, the suction force slowly weakened. Wang Lin stood up with an ugly expression. This time, the beast trap absorbed spiritual energy half a day earlier. It seems the thunder frog has used up too much spiritual energy. Although the trap is useful, the drawback is too big. Wang Lin pondered for a bit and then flew forward. Along the way, wandering souls passed through the surrounding walls and returned to his forehead. Wang Lin counted and found that the number hadn't decreased. He couldn't help but be happy. It seemed like the black thread had chosen Sun Lei's location. Not long after, Wang Lin arrived at the cave where he had agreed to meet Sun Lei. He sat down cross-legged and spread out his divine sense. After searching for a bit, he finally found Sun Lei in a cave about 10 meters away. Sun Lei was in a very sorry state. His body was covered in wounds, and one could see that he was wearing silver armor. It must be because of this armor that he had escaped twice. His right hand was dripping with blood, and he was missing a finger. At this moment, he was sitting cross-legged in meditation with a gloomy expression. The moment Wang Lin's divine sense swept by, Sun Lei's expression changed. He immediately sensed it and revealed a look of fear. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. His body suddenly moved, piercing through the cave wall and using the earth escape technique. Sun Lei clearly noticed this and immediately took out several pills. He painfully inhaled a mouthful of the pills and sat down cross-legged to meditate. For a soul formation cultivator, a distance of 10 meters wouldn't take too long. However, there was a strange force blocking the way of the cave. After the time it takes half an incense stick to burn, Wang Lin appeared in the cave Sun Lei was in. Sun Lei's expression immediately turned ugly. He flicked his right hand and stared at Wang Lin with a gloomy expression. "Brother Sun, feel free to cultivate. I will protect you," Wang Lin said calmly. He sighed in his heart. He didn't know what pills Sun Lei had consumed, but his cultivation had recovered from its previous weakened state to 80%. Therefore, Wang Lin decisively gave up on his previous idea. Sun Lei was startled. He clearly didn't expect Wang Lin to say something like this. He naturally didn't believe it, but his mouth slowly said, "Thank you for your trouble, fellow cultivator." Wang Lin didn't say anything else and sat down cross-legged. Sun Lei was cautious the entire time as he slowly refined the pills in his body. After the time it takes for 3 incense sticks to burn, his cultivation had completely recovered. The way he looked at Wang Lin was no longer gloomy, but slightly warmer. Sun Lei stood up and said, "Fellow cultivator, my cultivation has recovered. Why don't the two of us continue exploring?" Wang Lin nodded his head, stood up, and quickly flew toward the cave. Sun Lei followed closely behind. The two of them didn't say a word along the way. Soon, they arrived at the cave again. As soon as the two of them walked out, they saw a large number of thin threads rushing out from the cave. Sun Lei's eyes flickered and he said in a low voice, "Fellow cultivator, please step back. This time, I will definitely avenge my broken finger." As he spoke, he slapped his storage pouch and a black fan flew out from it. It was unknown what this fan was made of, but the moment it appeared, the surroundings were filled with a cold aura. Even the walls were covered in a layer of black ice. The black ice continued to spread, and in the blink of an eye, it arrived next to Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he waved the restriction flag and black fog surrounded his body. The cold aura circled around Wang Lin's body for a bit before passing by. It only formed a layer of protection between him and Sun Lei. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he silently took out the flowing time wood carving from his bag of holding. At this moment, the thin threads rushed out from the cave again. It was as if their numbers hadn't decreased at all. This time, the black threads were flying in front with the intent to kill. Sun Lei took a deep breath. His hands quickly formed a seal, and he placed his hand on his forehead. Suddenly, his origin soul appeared above his head and grabbed onto the fan. The moment it grabbed onto the fan, his origin soul revealed a painful expression as if the fan was being burned. His origin soul fiercely waved the fan in front of him. Suddenly, a gust of black wind came from the fan and blew toward the incoming threads. At this moment, the threads stopped one by one and black ice began to spread. In the blink of an eye, The area around Wang Lin turned into a world of black ice. Without saying a word, Sun Lei's origin soul returned to his body and charged toward the entrance of the cave. He smiled and said, "Fellow cultivator, my cultivation is limited. I can only seal it for 10 breaths of time. I'll go first and come save you later." Wang Lin's eyes were calm and there was a hint of mockery on his face. "There's still one more chapter to go. Fellow cultivators, let's go all out with the monthly vote. Also, although there was one chapter yesterday, there were 2 chapters inside. I didn't forget to save the chapter yesterday. Today, the heavens can be my witness to your shameless actions." Chapter 304. Sun Lei's plan was very good. He had waited for so long before using the power of the fan. His goal was to use Wang Lin as bait to chase after Wang Lin after the threads recovered, allowing him to escape. Otherwise, even if he got the treasure, it would be very difficult for him to escape from the threads' pursuit. After all, if he took the treasure, the threads would go crazy, and the intensity of their pursuit would be far greater than the previous 2 times. He had already made up his mind. After getting the treasure, he would throw the skeleton onto Wang Lin's body. That way, the threads wouldn't chase him too far. Wang Lin's eyes flickered. He had been on guard against this person, so how could he let him do as he pleased? Although the black ice was indeed strange, he had long since grabbed the old man's wooden carving. As the black ice sealed the area, the passing time domain of the wooden carving was unleashed. The flow of time was the flow of time, and the reversal of time was also the flow of time. Within the passing time domain, the flow of time was controlled by the heart. This was the power of the passing time domain. Wang Lin had cultivated in the heaven-defying bead for many years, so he had a deep understanding of the reversal of time. This was one of the main reasons why he could imitate the passing time domain. A strange light was emitted from the wooden carving and merged with the black ice. Although the power of the black ice was strong, Wang Lin didn't try to resist it. Instead, he used the passing time domain to loosen it a bit. Although it was a bit difficult, it wasn't too difficult. Using the passing time domain, Wang Lin's body wasn't completely sealed like Sun Lei had imagined. Instead, as Sun Lei laughed and spoke arrogantly, Wang Lin walked out from within the ice. Furthermore, with a speed that was even faster than Sun Lei's, he charged forward in a flash, passing through the frozen threads and appearing outside the cave. "Fellow cultivator son, you still haven't given me the spirit-cleansing wood. Why are you in such a rush to enter?" Sun Lei was startled, and his expression turned unsightly. He was a decisive person, so he slapped his bag of holding and tossed out the spirit-cleansing wood. Wang Lin took it and entered the cave. Sun Lei cursed in his heart. However, he also knew that time was of the essence. Now that half of the time had passed, he had to make the best use of his time. Thus, he quickly rushed forward. When he entered the cave, the first thing he saw was Wang Lin picking up the golden metal piece from the corpse's chest. Without saying a word, he grabbed the immortal sword in the corpse's hand. However, as soon as his hand touched the celestial sword, he let out a miserable groan and countless spots of blood appeared on his right hand. Wang Lin didn't even look at it. He turned around and rushed out of the cave. The restriction flag in his hand turned into a black fog. Dragons of restriction chi rushed out from it and wrapped around Wang Lin's body. Then, they suddenly rushed up. Sun Lei's eyes were bloodshot as he let out an unwilling roar. His hand reached out once more. This time, he endured the pain and grabbed the immortal sword. However, at this moment, he let out a miserable scream. His right hand was pierced by the golden light, leaving a bloody wound. Even his chest was pierced by the golden light. The silver armor he wore immediately melted. Sun Lei immediately stopped and gave up on the immortal sword. He let out an angry roar as he rushed out of the cave. He calculated in his heart that 8 breaths of time had passed. If he left now, he still had a chance. If he didn't leave now, he would be in danger. However, nothing in this world could be said to be 90% certain. At this moment, the black line suddenly moved. It charged out from the black ice and let out a sharp roar as it charged toward Sun Lei. Sun Lei was shocked and revealed an expression of disbelief. His sex treasure said it would last for 10 breaths of time, so it was definitely 10 breaths of time. How could it let up after 8 breaths of time? What he didn't know was that because it had absorbed Snowball, the black line already possessed some of the power of the heavens and earth. 10 breaths of time had reduced the black line's power by 1. Wang Lin's time domain caused the black ice to slow down a bit. As a result, the black line was reduced by 1 breath. Sun Lei was shocked, but it was already too late to dodge. As the black line was about to reach him, the shadow of death shrouded his body. When he saw Wang Lin quickly leaving, a strong sense of unwillingness filled his heart. His eyes revealed a hint of madness. Without a word, he hit his forehead and a black bead appeared on his forehead. He revealed an expression of heartache that he had never felt before. This black bead was the result of his hundreds of years of cultivation. It was formed after he successfully reached soul formation. According to his sex cultivation method, this bead was an important item for him to form his second origin soul in the future. Without this bead, his cultivation level would immediately drop from the mid-stage of soul formation to the nascent soul stage. Explode. Sun Lei closed his eyes. The black bead immediately emitted a black glow and self-destructed. Bang! A black circular ripple immediately spread out. The black thread was the first to bear the brunt of the ripple. It let out a shriek and shrank into a ball, barely able to withstand the ripple. However, the thin threads that had just recovered from the black ice dissipated one by one under the impact of the ripples without any struggle. Even the surrounding cave walls seemed to have collapsed and disappeared into thin air. The power of the bead's self-destruction had reached the critical point of this fragment of the celestial realm. Suddenly, the sky and earth of this fragment collapsed. Countless spatial cracks appeared in the sky. More and more of them appeared, and they grew larger and larger. The lava on the ground seemed to be exploding. Popping sounds could be heard as it shot into the sky. The entire world was shaking violently, and rays of death light were being emitted from it. Shortly after, large amounts of the sky and earth began to dissipate as if they were being devoured. The moment Sun Lei self-destructed, he disappeared. No one knew where he went. As for Wang Lin, he immediately felt a destructive force coming from below him. At the same time, the force restricting his teleportation collapsed. His heart skipped a beat, and he immediately tried to teleport away. However, he immediately stopped himself, as he could clearly feel the ground around him trembling and rumbling. The fragment of the celestial realm is collapsing? Wang Lin immediately guessed the reason. He was glad that he didn't teleport away. Otherwise, he might have teleported into the terrifying spatial crack. Wang Lin cursed in his heart as he activated the restriction flag and flew forward like lightning. Without the restriction of the mysterious force, Wang Lin's speed returned to normal. However, the speed at which the ground was collapsing was even faster. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin's divine sense immediately sensed that the area within 100 zhang had turned into a black void. The void was like a giant mouth that kept devouring. His heart skipped a beat. The collapse continued for 100 zhang, and in the blink of an eye, it had reached a distance of 50 zhang. Wang Lin sucked in a breath of cold air as he charged up and quickly escaped. The devouring continued. 500 feet, 300 feet, 200 feet, 100 feet. Wang Lin's face was pale. He was still a distance away from the ground, and the devouring was very fast. It was obvious that he wouldn't be able to escape before the devouring arrived. His eyes flickered with a vicious look as he slapped his bag of holding. A crystal the size of a grain of rice appeared in his hand. It was formed by the immortal realm Qi. The devouring force closed in. 100 feet, 50 feet, 30 feet. Wang Lin saw that 30 feet away, there seemed to be a giant mouth that had already opened. He swallowed the immortal Qi crystal in his hand. For the first time, his primordial spirit felt pain. It was the feeling of his primordial spirit being swollen by the surging immortal Qi. It was the pain of his primordial spirit burning. At that moment, Wang Lin's primordial spirit felt like it was on the verge of collapse. His body was filled with intense pain, and at the same time, a powerful force that seemed capable of supporting the heavens and earth was being born. The surrounding darkness continued to close in. 3 zhang, 6 zhang, 3 zhang. Wang Lin's body suddenly shot upward like a meteor. The moment the darkness closed in, Wang Lin shot out. His speed was much faster than before as he shot out of the ground. The moment he shot out of the ground of the fragment of the immortal realm seemed to have collapsed. Most of it had been reduced to darkness. Below his feet it was pitch black. Only a few places had stone awls that looked like pillars that supported the heavens and the earth. Some of them were shrinking and eventually disappeared. The sky was filled with cracks. However, Wang Lin could no longer feel any of this. His consciousness was in a state of madness. He was like a meteor, or more accurately, faster than a meteor. After he shot out of the ground, he shot up into the sky. More and more cracks appeared in the sky, but most of them were connected to each other, forming the same black void as the ground. Wang Lin flew up like a phoenix struggling in flames. He continued to rise higher and higher, but just at that moment, a huge crack appeared in front of him and connected to each other, forming a void. Wang Lin charged in. His surroundings were shrouded in darkness, and a powerful cold aura rushed toward him. Under the stimulation of the cold aura, Wang Lin's mind became clear. Without a word, he controlled his body to retreat. After struggling for a while, he charged out of a crack that hadn't closed yet. Using this bit of clarity, he quickly dodged the cracks. Finally, when the fragment of the immortal realm completely collapsed, he charged out and disappeared into the sky. He flew higher and higher until he saw a huge vortex in the distance. This was where he entered the fragment of the immortal realm. Below the vortex there was a platform. On the platform, there were several people staring dumbfoundedly at this place. His body flickered and he appeared on the platform. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. The moment he landed, he used all the power he had left to point at his brow. Immediately, wandering souls rushed out. During his trip to the foreign battleground, Wang Lin had collected more than 10,000 wandering souls. At this moment, all of them appeared and roared around Wang Lin, forming a black tornado. The expressions of the people on the platform immediately changed, and they all backed up. Wang Lin fell to the ground and struggled to sit down cross-legged. He took out 7 or 8 bottles of pills from his bag of holding and drank them all in one breath. Then he began to cultivate. He had started writing at 11 in the afternoon until now. It had been 8 hours, and he had smoked 2 boxes of cigarette. Finally, he had fulfilled his promise. He really wanted to vomit blood, but more than that, he wanted to pee blood, because when he started writing, he basically didn't want to get up. The more he endured, the more inspiration he got. He hadn't gone to the toilet for 8 hours, and his bladder was starting to hurt. Chapter 305. On the giant platform below the whirlpool, tens of thousands of wandering souls let out whimpers as they circled around. Their gloomy eyes would occasionally look at the people standing on the platform. These wandering souls were real wandering souls from the foreign battleground. When Wang Lin first brought them out, it could be said that he had put in a lot of effort and was lucky enough to escape the interference of the law of nirvana. In reality, he had collected more than 100,000 wandering souls in the foreign battleground, but in the end, he only brought out these 10,000 wandering souls. The difference between these wandering souls and the devil was that no matter what cultivation level the other party was at, they would all charge forward without fear. Even if they were refined, they would still do the same. Wang Lin hadn't tried it before, so he didn't know if tens of thousands of wandering souls could kill a soul formation cultivator. After all, unless it was absolutely necessary, he didn't want to waste all the wandering souls that he had worked so hard to bring out. However, Wang Lin remembered that ancient emperor's body was devoured by the endless attacks of countless wandering souls. Among these wandering souls, there was one that was clearly different. Although it looked the same as the other wandering souls, its eyes had a hint of intelligence. This was the devil Su Ligua. He was very proud of himself as he stood among the wandering souls. He thought that his master still cared about him. Old 3, Old 4, and Old 5 were all dead, and he was the only one that was safe. With so many wandering souls around him, he would be very safe in the future. This wandering soul whirlpool was extremely large. The people on the platforms all stared at it intently. One of them had a pair of bright eyes, and on his forehead, there was a flickering mark of an axe. This person was the giant demon clan member from Suzaku, just like Wang Lin. He recognized Wang Lin at a glance. His eyes lit up, but he didn't say a word. At this moment, there was a middle-aged man in gray next to him. This person had a gloomy look, a slightly curved nose, and a gloomy expression. He looked in Wang Lin's direction and stepped forward. The man from the giant demon clan looked at this person. He didn't say anything, but there was a hint of mockery in his eyes. From his point of view, this person's cultivation level hadn't even reached the soul formation stage. He was only at the peak of the nascent soul realm. With this kind of cultivation level, he wanted to take the life of a soul formation cultivator. It was like throwing an egg against a rock. The gray-clothed man carefully moved forward, getting closer and closer to the wandering soul. He raised his right hand and muttered something. Slowly, a black flame took shape in his hand. As soon as the black flame appeared, it immediately set off a layer of heat wave. He looked at Wang Lin and greed flashed in his eyes. He waved his right hand and the flame immediately flew over. At this moment, the wandering souls circling around Wang Lin immediately stopped. Their gazes were all fixed on the man in gray. The man in gray immediately took a few steps back. The wandering souls suddenly let out a sharp howl and scattered in all directions. About 1/3 of the wandering souls rushed towards the fireball, while the remaining 2/3, thousands of wandering souls, rushed towards the gray-clothed man. Their momentum was extremely shocking. The gray-clothed man's expression changed. He waved his right hand and a flying sword appeared in his hand. With a point of his finger, the flying sword slashed toward the incoming wandering souls. However, these wandering souls weren't devils. They had a certain resistance to spells and spells. As the flying sword slashed through the air, only the wandering souls at the front slowed down. However, the large amount of wandering souls behind them charged forward and jumped toward the gray-clothed man. 7 or 8 wandering souls had already entered the gray-clothed man's body. The gray-clothed man's expression suddenly changed. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood immediately turned into a flame that surrounded his body. The gray-clothed man immediately sat down and began to cultivate. He wanted to force the wandering souls out of his body. A large amount of wandering souls had already surrounded him and were trying to jump in. Slowly, the flame around the gray-clothed man began to flicker as if it could be extinguished at any moment. As for the fireball he threw out, it gradually dimmed under the fearless attacks of the wandering souls. Although some of the wandering souls died in the end, the fireball was extinguished 3 feet away from Wang Lin. The remaining wandering souls didn't move forward. Instead, they circled around Wang Lin and stared at the people on the platform with gloomy gazes. The gray-robed man complained bitterly in his heart. He regretted acting rashly. Although he knew that every cultivator that could enter the celestial realm possessed powerful abilities and could be said to be the best of the best in their respective cultivation planets, he didn't dare to act rashly. However, he didn't expect that even though the other party was seriously injured, he was still not easy to deal with. Just the mysterious creatures that the other party had released were enough to make him tired. If the other party's cultivation had recovered, he would have died here today. Seeing that the flames around him were about to be extinguished at any moment and that there were still so many mysterious creatures, the gray-clothed man clenched his teeth. He waved his left hand and a small cauldron appeared in his hand. His eyes were filled with unwillingness as he prepared to activate the small cauldron to return to his cultivation planet. However, just as he was about to activate the small cauldron, Wang Lin, who was protected by the wandering souls, suddenly opened his eyes. He reached out with his right hand and the small cauldron in the gray-clothed man's hand immediately flew out of the gray-clothed man's hand and into Wang Lin's. The gray-clothed man's expression immediately changed. His face turned pale and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Wang Lin's eyes were gloomy as he squeezed his hand again. It was as if he was popping a bubble. The already dim flames around the gray-clothed man were immediately extinguished. The moment the flames were extinguished, the gray-clothed man let out a hysterical roar. He immediately teleported outside the vortex and was about to fly inside. In his mind, entering the celestial realm fragment was the only way to survive. However, it was too late. The wandering souls were even faster than him. The moment the gray-clothed man appeared, countless wandering souls entered his body. His body trembled, and he let out a miserable scream as he fell from the sky onto the platform. His body continued to twitch until he died. Slowly, the flesh and blood of this person's body disappeared, turning into a skeleton. Many wandering souls happily crawled around his body. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. With a thought, the surrounding wandering souls all flew back into Wang Lin's forehead and disappeared. At this moment, the man from the giant demon clan laughed. He took a few steps forward and said, "Fellow cultivator, what happened to make you look like this? Even a nascent soul cultivator dares to covet you." Wang Lin looked at this person for a while and casually said, "That's right. The immortal world fragment is collapsing." The giant demon clan man was startled. His eyes revealed a strange light and he asked, "Fellow cultivator escaped from the collapse of the celestial realm fragment?" As soon as he finished speaking, he bitterly smiled. Wasn't he just talking nonsense? He clasped his hands and said, "Fellow cultivator, the celestial realm fragment has collapsed, so those that can escape are not ordinary. I am Chi Hu of the giant demon clan. How should I address you?" Wang Lin shook his head and said, "I was just lucky. I am Tsing Yo." Recalling the scene of the fragment collapsing, Wang Lin could not help but feel a lingering fear. If he had not disregarded everything and used the immortal Chi crystal, he would have been dead by now. Tsing Yo. Chi Hu pondered for a bit. His eyes suddenly lit up and he asked, "Is fellow cultivator from the Tsing family in the southern part of Suzaku?" Wang Lin was startled. He shook his head and remained silent. Chi Hu thought for a while. In all of Suzaku, the only high-level cultivation country with the surname Tsing was the Heavenly Soul Country. Although Tsing Nyo didn't admit it, Chi Hu didn't believe that Tsing Nyo had cultivated all by himself. In his eyes, Tsing Nyo was a core disciple of a rank 5 cultivation country. Otherwise, if Tsing Nyo was from a rank 4 cultivation country, there was no way he wouldn't know him. It has to be said that the giant demon clan was only a rank 4 cultivation country, so they paid a lot of attention to the geniuses of a rank 4 cultivation country. This caused Chi Hu's attitude to change. However, with his cultivation level, he wouldn't show it. Chi Hu hesitated for a bit and suddenly said, "Brother Tsing, can we talk a bit closer?" Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he looked at Qi Hu and nodded. Qi Hu quickly walked up to the edge of the platform with Wang Lin. He waved his hand and a light screen appeared. Wang Lin's expression didn't change, and he was on guard. Qi Hu got straight to the point and said, "Brother Tseng, you and I are both from Suzaku. Please help me." "Brother Qi Hu, what do you need? Just say it." Wang Lin smiled. Qi Hu clenched his teeth, took out a piece of jade, threw it at Wang Lin, and said, "Fellow cultivator will know once you take a look." Wang Lin caught the jade and scanned it with his divine sense. Even with his mental fortitude, he was shocked by what he saw. This piece of jade contained an image recorded with his divine sense. In the image there was a beautiful place filled with birds and green mountains. It was a very beautiful place. The most eye-catching thing was a pool, and above the pool floated a jade coffin. There were 3 celestial swords inserted into the coffin. These celestial swords looked very similar to the one Wang Lin saw in the skeleton's hand. What made Wang Lin's pupils shrink was the jade coffin. If he didn't look at the anchor, he would think that the entire jade coffin was made of celestial jade. At the same time, there were several plants floating above the pool. They were clearly not ordinary. Wang Lin pondered a bit, then he handed the jade back to Qi Hu and remained silent. "Brother Tseng, this is a place that a genius of my giant demon clan accidentally stumbled upon when he entered the celestial realm many years ago. There are celestial beasts guarding this place, as well as countless restrictions. With his own strength, he didn't act rashly. Instead, he secretly recorded it down and then returned." Qi Hu looked at Wang Lin and whispered. Wang Lin pondered a bit and said, "After so many years, I'm afraid this place has already been discovered by others." Qi Hu smiled and said, "That's impossible. Brother Tseng, I can guarantee that this place will not be discovered by others. I hope Brother Tseng can forgive me, but I can't tell you the reason right now." This month, he planned to fight for 3rd place in the Celestial Realm category, behind the Yang God and mortals. However, it looks like he was in danger of being surpassed by others. Fellow cultivators, please support him with your monthly votes. Chapter 306. Wang Lin pondered for a bit and said, "I'm afraid it will be very difficult for the 2 of us to successfully enter this place." Qi Hu faintly smiled and said, "The 2 of us might not be enough, but I have an appointment with someone else. With the 3 of us going together, our chances will be much higher." Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he said, "I can't answer this right now. Let me think about it for a few days." Qi Hu nodded and said, "Of course. How about this, if Brother Tseng has decided, then come to this fragment in 1 month. If Brother Tseng doesn't come in 1 month, then I won't wait." With that, he took out another jade and handed it to Wang Lin. Wang Lin took a look. This jade was the same as the one from the Dalu sword sect. It was the key to opening the transfer array. However, among the many fragments, there was only one bright spot. With this jade slip, when you enter the whirlpool, you will be able to enter the designated location. Brother Tseng, I await your participation." Qi Hu cupped his hands and turned to leave. He didn't even look back as he stepped into the whirlpool. Wang Lin put away the jade and sat down cross-legged. He took out the restriction flag and shook it to cover his surroundings. Inside the black fog, he closed his eyes and his origin soul slowly came out from his head. His hands formed a seal and revealed a painful expression. Gradually, a grain-sized crystal of celestial spiritual energy was forced out from between his origin soul's eyebrows. After the crystal came out, his origin soul immediately withered. It was as if it could dissipate with a gust of wind and slowly sank back into his body. After a long time, Wang Lin opened his eyes and revealed a tired expression. He held the celestial spiritual energy crystal in his hand. After looking at it for a bit, he put it into his bag of holding. With Wang Lin's cultivation, He couldn't absorb celestial spiritual energy at all, let alone celestial spiritual energy. Celestial spiritual energy was something that late-stage soul formation cultivators could only try to absorb when they tried to break through to the soul transformation stage. It can be said that in Suzaku, there are not many soul transformation cultivators, mainly because of the scarcity of immortal chi. After all, not everyone has the opportunity to enter the immortal realm to obtain immortal chi. In some large sects that had existed for thousands of years, there might be immortal chi crystals in stock. However, these things could only be used by the talented people of those sects or the elders of those sections. The rarity of soul transformation cultivators was equivalent to the rarity of ascendant cultivators. If one fused with the celestial realm chi before reaching the late stage of soul formation, then to the cultivators of the earth cultivation realm, it would no longer be a treasure, but a poison. Wang Lin smiled bitterly. His primordial spirit was severely damaged. Fortunately, there were wandering souls. After devouring some, his primordial spirit recovered slightly. He slapped his bag of holding, and an item appeared in his hand. It was a white piece of jade that emanated the aura of the immortal world. Wang Lin scanned it with his divine sense, and realized that this so-called immortal jade was actually similar to spirit stones used by cultivators. However, spirit stones emitted spiritual energy, while this immortal jade emitted celestial energy. Wang Lin knew that after reaching the soul transformation stage, aside from understanding one's domain, one would no longer be able to absorb spiritual energy from the heavens and earth. This celestial energy was the most important thing. The more celestial energy there was, the better. Wang Lin knew how precious celestial energy was, especially the immortal jade in his hand. If it was placed in Suzaku, it would immediately cause a catastrophe. Even the country of Rosefinch would try to steal it. After looking at it, Wang Lin put the jade away. Although this trip to the celestial realm had cost him a bit, his harvest was quite bountiful. Wang Lin took a deep breath. His eyes lit up and he took out another item from his bag of holding. This item was the golden piece of metal on the corpse's chest. Sun Lei said that this piece of metal was a defensive celestial treasure. However, the moment Wang Lin grabbed it, he immediately realized that it was definitely not a celestial treasure. At the time, he didn't have time to examine it. Now that he had settled down, he immediately used his divine sense to examine it. The moment his divine sense entered the piece of metal, his mind buzzed and he felt dizzy. Following this, a stream of information immediately rushed into his brain. After a long time, Wang Lin stared at the piece of metal in astonishment. His eyes flickered violently. He was now sure that if the description on the piece of metal was real, then this piece of metal was the most valuable of the three items. This piece of metal was something like a piece of jade. On it was recorded the refining method of a god-slaying war chariot. According to the description on the piece of metal, the owner of the corpse called himself esteemed heavenly treasure. After this person ascended to the celestial realm, he focused all his energy on refining treasures and had no interest in cultivation. In fact, the reason he was able to ascend to the celestial realm was so that he could live a few more years and fulfill one of his great dreams, which was to create the most powerful treasure in the world. Unfortunately, this dream was destroyed by the calamity of the celestial realm. The god-slaying war chariot that he had spent his entire life creating didn't meet his requirements, so it was sealed inside his cave. The moment before the calamity of the celestial realm, he left his cave to gather some materials and try again. Unfortunately, this time, he was separated by life and death. Before he died, he didn't want the research that he had spent his entire life on to end, so he left this piece of metal behind for someone to find. In the piece of metal, the person didn't want the method to create the god-slaying war chariot that he wasn't completely satisfied with. He even left behind the location of his cave, telling the person who found the piece of metal to go there to retrieve the chariot and continue researching it if they had the ability. Wang Lin took a deep breath. The method to create the chariot was extremely complicated. Just the materials alone were items that were already extinct and could no longer be made. However, from the description on the piece of metal, Wang Lin could tell that there were some god-slaying war chariot left in his cave. Wang Lin was quite tempted. After pondering for a bit, he stood up, put away the restriction flag, and walked toward the vortex on the platform. When the people on the platform saw Wang Lin walk over, they all avoided his gaze. Most of these people were at the nascent soul realm, so they didn't dare to enter the vortex. They planned to wait for an injured cultivator to come and steal the chariot. Wang Lin didn't even look at them as he flew into the vortex. Inside the vortex, Wang Lin's body continued to sink. During this process, his eyes were wide open. According to the information on the piece of metal, the heavenly treasure esteemed cultivator's cave was in the western part of the celestial realm. However, the celestial realm had already been destroyed. He didn't know if this person's cave was still there or if it had been discovered by someone before. Wang Lin's body continued to descend until he landed on a fragment in the eastern part of the vortex. After looking around, Wang Lin's body immediately soared into the sky and landed on the platform above the vortex. Then he continued to descend into the vortex. After a few more times, Wang Lin finally landed on a fragment in the western part of the celestial realm. According to the description of the heavenly treasure esteemed cultivator, the cave he was in was at the bottom of a tiger-shaped mountain. After Wang Lin landed on the fragment, he scanned it with his divine sense, but didn't find any tiger-shaped mountain. He pondered for a bit. Although it would be difficult to find it, he didn't give up. He carefully searched the celestial realm fragment. During this time, he saw two cultivators. They looked at each other, but didn't make a move. Instead, they passed each other by. A few days later, Wang Lin found nothing, so he once again descended into the vortex. The people on the platform had seen Wang Lin go in and out of the vortex many times. They all tried to guess the reason, but none of them dared to go up and ask. On this day, Wang Lin once again descended from the vortex. This time, he didn't land on the western part of the celestial realm, but on the eastern side. After landing, he let out a sigh. If this continued, who knew how long it would take to search all the fragments in the western part? The cave of the heavenly treasure esteemed cultivator was simply too difficult to find. Just as he was about to leave, two fluctuations of magic power appeared in front of him. He saw two figures, one in front and one behind, flying toward him. The person in front was surrounded by black clouds and moving like the wind. Behind him was a white-robed man with a fan in his hand. He had a cold smile on his face. At this moment, the person in front noticed Wang Lin and immediately flew toward him. He shouted, "Fellow Taoist, save me!" The white-robed man's face was gloomy. He closed the fan in his hand and pointed forward. Suddenly, a giant hand appeared and reached out toward the person in front of him. The person's expression changed. He was unable to dodge and was caught by the giant hand. However, the strange thing was that as soon as the hand squeezed, the person's body turned into countless black bugs that escaped through the gaps of the hand. The person teleported 100 feet away from Wang Lin. Wang Lin recognized this person as the bloodthirsty young man from Suzaku. At this moment, his face was gloomy. After hesitating for a bit, he didn't continue to escape. Instead, he turned around to look at the white-robed man chasing after him. The white-robed young man looked at Wang Lin and clasped his hands. "Fellow Taoist, this matter has nothing to do with you. Please leave." The young man immediately said, "Fellow Taoist, this person stole my celestial energy crystal. If you help me kill this person, the crystal will be split between us." The white-robed young man's eyes narrowed and he laughed. "This is ridiculous. You are clearly the one who stole my item." Wang Lin frowned. He didn't want to get involved in this mess. Without a word, he retreated and flew away. The young man's expression changed. He immediately chased after Wang Lin and shouted, "Fellow Taoist, since we are both from Suzaku, help me this once." Wang Lin's expression darkened. He turned around and shouted, "Get lost! Don't drag me into this matter between you two. If you continue to follow me, don't blame me for being merciless." The young man's eyes flickered viciously. He threw a grain-sized celestial energy crystal at Wang Lin with a flick of his right hand. Following this, his figure flickered and he flew away. "Since you aren't willing to help, I'll just put the blame on you. At most, I won't take the crystal anymore." The white-robed young man's eyes flickered. He gave up on the young man and focused his attention on Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't even look at the crystal. He flicked his right hand and the crystal flew toward the white-robed young man. The young man was startled, but he quickly grabbed it and clasped his fists. "Thank you. I'm Sima Yun of the Sunflower Water faction. May I know who you are?" "Sing Nyo." After Wang Lin finished speaking, he turned around and flew off into the distance. After searching for a bit, he would return to the whirlpool and try a few more times. If he still couldn't find the cave, then he would have to give up. The white-robed young man said, "Fellow cultivator Tsing, I've already searched this place for a few days. There is no more celestial energy, so there's no need to waste time. Do you have a celestial transfer point? If you do, we can trade." Wang Lin stopped and turned around. He carefully observed the young man. This young man's cultivation was at the early stage of soul formation, but judging from the power of his spell, it wasn't weak. After pondering for a bit, he slapped his bag of holding and the Delu sword sex teleportation jade appeared in his hand. He sent some spiritual energy into the jade and an image appeared on it. Although most of the image was gray, there were more than 30 fragments that emitted bright colors. After the white-robed youth took a closer look, he also took out a jade slip from his storage bag. After injecting spiritual power into it, an image of about the same size appeared. There were more than 20 fragments flashing with bright light. After looking at it, Wang Lin's heart trembled. 5 of the fragments were on the western side. The white-robed young man said, "Fellow cultivator Tsing, there are 21 fragments on my map. 8 of them are the same as yours. How about you erase some of them and we trade?" Wang Lin didn't say anything. He took out a blank jade and made a copy. After erasing some of the transfer points, he looked at the white-robed young man. The white-robed young man was also making a copy of the jade. After a bit of time, the two of them threw the jade to each other. "Fellow cultivator Tsing, if you have a chance to come to my shattered silver star in the future, I'll be sure to entertain you." Wang Lin nodded. "No problem." The white-robed young man smiled, clasped hands, and then teleported away. "Well then, I'll take my leave. That little swine dared to steal something from me, so I can't let him get away." Wang Lin muttered to himself for a moment, then pulled out the jade slip and opened up the map. He pointed to a fragment in the western part of the map that he hadn't been to before. Suddenly, a teleportation portal appeared in front of him, which Wang Lin stepped into and disappeared. On a fragment in the western part of the immortal world was a mountain. It had originally been shaped like a tiger, but now it was split in half. Wang Lin floated in midair, his eyes calm as he looked down at the mountain. He had finally found the tiger-shaped mountain on the 3rd fragment in the western part of the jade slip. Although it looked a bit different from what the celestial heavenly treasure had described, it was more or less the same. Wang Lin flew toward the mountain. After circling around it for a bit, Wang Lin found the location of the celestial heavenly treasure's Immortals Cave at the foot of the mountain. Looking at the Immortals Cave, Wang Lin's expression couldn't help but darken. The outer walls of the Immortals Cave were in tatters, and there were traces of magical attacks on them. It was obvious that someone had destroyed it many years ago. Wang Lin landed outside the Immortal's cave and flew inside. The Immortal's cave wasn't large, and it was completely empty. Wang Lin smiled bitterly. He had worked so hard to find this place, but unfortunately he was too late. However, at this moment, his eyes suddenly narrowed. Although there were 2 chapters today, it was 7,000 words. I really can't go all out. Please vote. I'm only 10 votes away from 3rd place. To be continued. Chapter 307. There were 9 stone rooms in this cave, and they were all empty. However, Wang Lin's gaze was locked onto the wall of the largest stone room in the middle. He began to ponder. The piece of metal from the heavenly treasure celestial had detailed instructions on how to open his cave. It also told him that there were a total of 10 stone rooms in the cave. The stone room that sealed the god-slaying war chariot was the 10th First Division. There are only 9 stone rooms here. Where did the 10th come from? Wang Lin frowned. He had already spread out his divine sense and scanned the area several times, but he didn't find any hidden stone rooms. Wang Lin walked up to the inner wall and touched it. It was cold to the touch, and there was nothing special about it. He pondered a bit before slapping his bag of holding, and the golden piece of metal appeared in his hand. The moment the piece of metal appeared, it released a blinding golden light and a burning sensation. Wang Lin's heart skipped a beat. He let go of the piece of metal and threw it up. The piece of metal glowed even brighter and gradually began to melt. However, there was no liquid falling down. Instead, it turned into strands of green smoke that rose into the air in the shape of a mushroom. In the mushroom-shaped green smoke, an illusionary figure gradually appeared. This person had the demeanor of an immortal. His beard fluttered without any wind. Not only was he handsome, but he also had a dignified expression. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He took a few steps back and coldly looked over. After the sage-like person appeared, his hands formed a seal and shot out a golden light that landed on the surrounding walls. The entire cave rumbled and began to sink. The ground under his feet trembled. Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he looked around. After a long time, the ground trembled and stopped sinking. In the middle of the cave, there was a door emitting a purple and red light. The sage-like man formed a strange seal with his hands and pointed at the purplish-red door. Then, his entire body slowly disappeared. Even the metal piece completely disappeared. Wang Lin took a deep breath and stared unblinkingly at the purplish-red door. If this place was included, then the number of stone rooms in the abode suddenly became 10. This illusion is definitely that of the celestial heavenly treasure. He really is worthy of being an expert in the art of artifact forging. His immortal's cave is probably one of the few. Even if someone finds it, it'll be very difficult to find the real treasure, thought Wang Lin. His eyes glittered as he approached the violet-red door. After a moment of silence, he imitated the heavenly treasure reverend's movements and performed an incantation gesture, then pressed it against the door. Immediately, the door moved and slowly opened to both sides. Wang Lin's divine sense spread out and his eyes immediately lit up. The 10th stone room was not big, about a few hundred feet in size. Apart from some messy refining materials, the most eye-catching thing were the 3 huge objects in the middle. It would not be an exaggeration to say that it was a colossus. It had a ferocious appearance filled with sharp thorns, and it was covered with something that looked like beast skin. Among the sharp thorns, the one in the middle was as thick as a person, and it flickered with a cold light. This was only the upper part of the object. Below it was a war chariot that mortals used to attack cities. It had 4 giant wheels. The chariot was about 100 feet long, and with the 3 chariots placed side by side, they almost filled the entire stone room. The moment Wang Lin stepped into the stone room, 3 illusionary souls appeared from the 3 chariots. These 3 souls looked even more ferocious than the chariots. After they appeared, they immediately let out roars. Their roars had the effect of shaking one's soul and were very penetrating. Even the mountains trembled and some dust fell. This beast's head was as large as a bucket and was triangular in shape. Its body was like a bull and was filled with a violent aura. There was also a tail behind it. This tail was like a flood dragon with a mouth, nose, and eyes at the end. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say it had 2 heads. The moment Wang Lin saw this beast, he immediately searched Tu Si's memory. Unfortunately, there was no record of this beast. However, there were many beasts in the world, so it wasn't strange for Tu Si to not know about them. These 3 beast souls looked the same, but they were different in size. The war chariot soul in the middle was slightly larger and the other 2 were slightly smaller. After the 3 beast souls appeared, their large, red eyes stared at Wang Lin. They revealed vicious gazes as they charged toward Wang Lin and tried to devour her. Wang Lin's expression was calm and he only took a step back. The moment the 3 ferocious beast souls charged at Wang Lin, countless chains as thick as an arm appeared on their bodies. These chains pierced through the 3 beast souls' bodies. When the 3 beast souls were within 1 meter of Wang Lin, the chains began to shine. The 3 beast souls let out painful roars as their bodies were dragged back by the chains and locked onto the war chariot. Only the beast in the middle, which was slightly larger in size, was forcefully dragged forward by another foot under the pull of the chains. Only then was it painfully dragged back. However, the 3 beast souls were unwilling and began to struggle. The surrounding cave began to tremble as if it could collapse at any moment. Wang Lin calmed his mind. Although he didn't know the names of the 3 beast souls, the heavenly treasure Celestial's metal piece had recorded how to control the war chariot. It also vaguely pointed out that there were beast souls on the war chariot, but they were locked down by the soul chains and couldn't escape more than 3 meters. Looking at the 3 struggling beast souls, Wang Lin raised his hand and formed strange seals according to the instructions on the piece of metal. The moment these seals left his hand, they turned into rings of black light. When the 3 beast souls saw the rings of light, they began to struggle even more violently. Gradually, as Wang Lin's movements became faster, the number of rings of light increased. After a long time, there were more than 100 rings of light in the stone room. Wang Lin let out a roar and stared at the war chariot in the middle. Seal! Suddenly, all the rings of light turned into afterimages and shot toward the war chariot in the middle. The beast soul on the war chariot let out a roar. Its eyes were filled with unwillingness as it quickly shrank back into the war chariot, allowing the rings of light to wrap around it. Finally, the war chariot suddenly moved and flew into the air. As it flew, the size of the war chariot changed. It became smaller and smaller until it was only the size of a palm and landed in Wang Lin's hand. Wang Lin glanced at it and then put it into his bag of holding. In order to use the war chariot, one must first subdue the beast soul. The power of the beast soul was not something that Wang Lin could control. Therefore, he could only use the technique on the metal piece to temporarily seal it and put it into a sleeping state. In fact, the heavenly treasure esteemed had never imagined that his war chariot would be taken by a soul formation cultivator. In his opinion, only a soul transformation cultivator would be able to use this war chariot. After putting away the war chariot, Wang Lin's gaze fell on the left war chariot and once again used the same method to seal the beast soul. Finally, only the war chariot was left. The beast soul on this war chariot was the smallest, but it was not something that Wang Lin could subdue at the moment. When the beast soul saw 2 of its companions being sealed again, it let out an angry roar that never stopped. If it was the heavenly treasure esteemed from back then, it would have yielded. However, when it saw this cultivator that it could kill with a single slap, its pride would not allow it to lower its head. Wang Lin stared at the beast, his heart struggling. He didn't know if he should gamble or not. If he won, he could temporarily obtain the beast's soul, but if he lost, he would be in danger. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin touched the beast trap on his wrist. This trap should be able to seal the beast soul. However, this beast soul must have been a celestial beast when it was alive. Whether or not the beast trap would be able to trap it was another question. Even if it could, whether or not it could absorb the spiritual energy was another question. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin gave up on the idea of taking the risk. His eyes lit up as he sent out hundreds of black rings to seal the beast soul and the war chariot. It's a pity that I don't know how powerful this god-slaying war chariot is. However, the heavenly treasure esteemed sounded very confident, so it shouldn't be too bad. Furthermore, the beast soul sealed inside the war chariot is extremely powerful. I don't think it will disappoint me. It's a pity that I can't use it right now. Wang Lin's gaze swept across the room and landed on some of the refining materials at the edge of the room. He swept everything up and put them into his bag of holding. After carefully inspecting them a few more times, he left. Outside the violet door, Wang Lin used the hand seal that the heavenly treasure esteemed had just given him to raise the cave back to its original state. After that, he walked out of the cave. This god-slaying war chariot is indeed mysterious. It doesn't need any spirit stones to activate it. Instead, it uses the soul power of the beast soul to activate it. That way, I can save a lot of spirit stones. However, if it really needs spirit stones to activate it, then perhaps only celestial jades would be enough. Wang Lin thought to himself as he floated in the air. I just don't know if activating the god-slaying war chariot will affect the beast soul. Normally speaking, there shouldn't be an endless source of energy. If that's the case, the beast soul will be damaged after activating the war chariot a few times. If it exceeds a certain number of times, it might even dissipate. It's a pity that the heavenly treasure esteemed didn't record any of this. Wang Lin looked up at the sky and thought to himself, it seems like the heavenly treasure esteemed didn't have much life left before he died, so he couldn't record everything in detail. He could only choose some important things to record. As for the details of this god-slaying war chariot, I'll have to research it myself. Wang Lin took a deep breath and touched his bag of holding with a happy smile on his face. This trip to the celestial realm was quite rewarding, but the risk was also great. If I was the slightest bit careless when the fragment collapsed, I would have already died. The greater the risk, the greater the reward. This saying is true. If that's the case, I'll have to carefully consider Chi Hu's invitation. Wang Lin's eyes flickered as he floated in the air. He didn't sit firmly on the third place and fell to the fourth place. Furthermore, there were people coming at him aggressively. He was in danger. Chapter 308. On a fragment in the southern part of the celestial realm, there were three people fighting over a piece of crystal. Tens of thousands of kilometers away from the three of them was a middle-aged man holding a gourd. He took a sip of wine and shook his head as he said, Ting Er, don't worry, I'll soon get the celestial jade for you so that your body won't change for 1,000 years. This middle-aged man was the same person from Suzaku as Wang Lin. He drank as he walked on the plain. After a long time, he stopped and looked down at his feet. There was a hint of reminiscence in his eyes as he muttered to himself, Ting Er, do you still remember this place? Back then I met you here. It's a pity that everything is the same, but the people have changed. He let out a sigh and gently stomped the ground with his right foot. His body immediately sank down and disappeared in the blink of an eye. He continued to sink, and after a long time, he appeared in a giant cave. There was an independent pavilion inside the cave, and it was surrounded by a green aura. The middle-aged man took a step forward and passed through the green aura into the pavilion. The pavilion was split into 3 floors, and the layout was very simple. It was no different from a normal home. However, there was a sense of elegance to it that surrounded the surroundings. After entering the pavilion, his eyes revealed a gentle light as he stroked the furniture inside. Finally, he sat down on a chair and muttered to himself, Ting Er, this is where I met you back then. His eyes revealed a look of love as he gently took out a pagoda from his bag of holding. He touched it with his right hand and a ray of white light appeared. After the white light disappeared, a female corpse in white appeared in the arms of the middle-aged man. His gaze was gentle as he looked at the female corpse, and he smiled as he said, Ting Er, look, we're home. The appearance of this female corpse was extremely beautiful. She looked like a celestial maiden from the heavens. Her skin was snow-white, but there was a hint of redness on her cheeks. If someone said that she was still alive, many people would believe it. For some reason, the moment she appeared, she immediately became one with the environment of the pavilion. It was as if this place belonged to her. The middle-aged man gently touched the woman's face, and the love in his eyes became even stronger. He smiled and said, Back then, when I first saw you, I was certain that you would be my wife. Do you like the name Ting Er? This is the name I gave you. As he murmured, he lowered his head and gently kissed the female corpse's forehead. His eyes were filled with satisfaction. For you, I gave up my position as the leader of the sect. For you, I betrayed my sect. Ting Er, I don't regret it. Really, I don't regret it at all. Who told them to call me crazy? I know I'm not crazy. The man touched the female corpse's face. After a long time, he stood up. Ting Er, let's go upstairs. There's a dressing table for you. Let your husband help you with your makeup. The man smiled as he carried the woman's body upstairs. At the dressing table on the second floor, the man put down the female corpse and picked up the eyebrow pencil. His eyes were full of emotion as he said, Are you happy? Ting Er, I'm very happy. Say something? Why aren't you saying anything? Are you not happy? Say something. Say something. Why aren't you saying anything? The middle-aged man's voice became louder and louder. He threw away the brush in his hand and shook the female corpse violently as he roared. After a long time, the man was startled. He hugged the female corpse and muttered, I'm sorry, Ting Er. Don't blame me. I was wrong. I won't yell at you anymore. No one can take you away from me. No one can. I'll kill anyone who tries. Kill, kill, kill. He took a deep breath and kissed the female corpse's face a few times. He smiled and said, Ting Er, look. This pavilion was on the verge of collapsing back then. I used my magic power to keep it standing because this is your home. This is our home. You must be tired. Take a rest. The middle-aged man carried the female corpse and placed it on the bed. He sat on the bed and looked at the female corpse with a gentle and affectionate gaze. Ting Er, when I saw you in the past, you were lying like this. You haven't changed at all. Do you still remember? When I first came to the immortal world, I wanted to obtain the immortal world chi. But when I saw you here, I knew that you were my wife. I've been accompanying you here for a long time. As he spoke, he placed his hand on the female corpse. As he touched it, he said, You're so perfect, perfect. You're mine. No one can take you away from me. Ting Er, what do you think? I know you like me too, right? Compared to the immortal world chi, you are my treasure. The middle-aged man faintly smiled and lay down next to the female corpse. He murmured, All right, Ting Er, let's rest for the night. Tomorrow, your husband will go look for more immortal jade. Go to sleep. Don't be afraid, I'm here. Wang Lin flew in the sky with a determined expression. The 1-month deadline was approaching. He had already made up his mind to go to the place that Chi Hu mentioned. Not to mention the 3 immortal swords, just the huge amount of immortal jades was enough to tempt him. With a large amount of immortal jades, Wang Lin believed that once he reached the late stage of soul formation, it would be much easier for him to break through to the soul transformation stage. The soul transformation stage, for Wang Lin, had a completely different meaning. Once he reached the soul transformation stage, Sidu Nan would be able to awaken. Although Wang Lin was only at the early stage of soul formation and was very far away from the late stage, he wasn't anxious at all. He knew that on the path of cultivation there was no need to be impatient. When the conditions are right, success will come. Everything will come naturally. In addition, there were some celestial herbs in the pond that tempted Wang Lin. If he gave those celestial herbs to Li Muwen, she would definitely be able to refine some top-quality pills. That way, Li Muwen's cultivation would increase by one level after consuming them. Unless the pills were extremely effective, Wang Lin wasn't willing to casually consume them. After all, with his current cultivation level, he had to focus on comprehension. Pills weren't the main path. However, if they were made with celestial herbs, then it would be very different. With a decision in his heart, Wang Lin's body continued to rise higher and higher. He flew out of the sky and toward the giant whirlpool in the distance. At the whirlpool, all he needed to do was activate the jade, and he would be able to go to the place that Qi Hu mentioned. At this very moment, in the center of the celestial realm, Qi Hu of the giant demon clan was sitting in the lotus position. Before him was a transfer array. Qi Hu's eyes were calm. He had been sitting here for 7 days. During these 7 days there were some small fries that came, but they were all killed by him. He was waiting. He was waiting for 2 people. Qi Hu believed that if these 2 people were willing to come, then he was 70% confident that he would be able to return with a full harvest. He believed that after seeing the jade, these 2 people would be tempted. After all, the temptation was something that no one could resist. Therefore, Qi Hu wasn't in a rush. These 2 people were carefully selected by him before he decided to invite them to participate. The first person wasn't important. After all, this person was very famous and had some connection to the giant demon clan. As for the second person, this person named Xing Niu, Qi Hu admitted that he couldn't see through him. Although this person looked like he was only at the early stage of soul formation, Qi Hu still felt a sense of danger from him. After thinking for a long time, he decided to invite Xing Niu to participate. After all, the stronger he was, the greater the chance of success. As for if Xing Niu wanted to kill him and steal his treasures, Qi Hu wasn't afraid. He believed that his cultivation level was enough to deal with such a thing. Time slowly passed. On this day, the formation in front of him suddenly lit up. This light became brighter and brighter until it almost lit up the entire area. This blinding light didn't affect Qi Hu at all. He stared at the formation and thought, "They've come. I just don't know which one it is." After the light from the formation reached a certain limit, it suddenly dimmed. Shortly after, a beautiful figure appeared in the formation. This woman was very beautiful, but she gave off a cold aura that would make people cower. After this woman appeared, a cold aura filled the area. There were even snowflakes falling from the sky. It was a very shocking scene. Qi Hu's eyes lit up and he thought, "It's her." He let out a laugh, stood up, and clasped his hands. "Fellow cultivator Red Butterfly, I've been waiting for you for a long time." This woman was the genius of Shuiyu, Red Butterfly. Her eyes were cold as she looked at Qi Hu. She walked out of the formation and coldly said, "If what you said is false, I won't let this matter go." Qi Hu revealed a confident expression and smiled. "Fellow cultivator Red Butterfly, don't worry. Since you're here, I won't hide it anymore. This jade was personally made by my giant demon clan's ancestor, Shiyu. He shouldn't be lying, right?" Shiyu. Red Butterfly's expression softened a bit. Shiyu was her teacher's senior and they were friends. After all, in Suzaku, there were only 2 tribes in a cultivation country: the giant demon clan and the Shuiyu clan. The 2 clans often interacted with each other, so it could be said that the giant demon clan was Shuiyu's ally. Red Butterfly's voice was decisive. "Since Shiyu personally saw it, then this matter can't be wrong. Fine, I'll go with you, but I don't want any of the treasures. Only the jade coffin must belong to me." Qi Hu frowned. He secretly thought that this Red Butterfly was too overbearing. Although he was interested in the jade coffin, He had to get the 3 celestial swords. If it was just the 2 of them, it would be easy, but after the 2 of them split it, Tseng Nyo would have nothing left. Chi Hu pondered a bit and slowly said, "Fellow cultivator Red Butterfly, this matter is not appropriate. After all, aside from you and me, there is another person who will participate in this matter." "Who is it?" Red Butterfly's expression was calm as she calmly asked. Let's do the clickbait thing. I'll ask for a few monthly votes to sit in 4th place and overtake 3rd place. Chapter 309. Chi Hu said, "Tseng Nyo is the same as you and me. He's also from Suzaku." "He's from Suzaku?" Red Butterfly was startled. The other 4 people flashed through her mind. Just at this moment, the formation in front of the 2 of them lit up again. When the light reached its peak, a tall and straight figure appeared from the teleportation formation. "It's him." Red Butterfly's eyes lit up. Without saying anything, she pointed forward with her right hand. A white seal that was as fast as lightning shot towards the teleportation formation. Bang! 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 The seal was like lightning and the seal was like lightning. The sound of the air being pierced could be heard. The figure that appeared from the teleportation formation was Wang Lin. As soon as he appeared, he sensed danger. He stomped his foot and the formation collapsed. Wang Lin turned into a cloud of green smoke and retreated. At the same time, he threw the beast trap in front of him. It turned into a thunder frog and spat out a huge ball of lightning at the seal. At the same time, Wang Lin's hand shook and the restriction flag appeared. Countless strands of restriction energy came out and spread dozens of miles away. Wang Lin's eyes were sharp as he locked onto Red Butterfly. "Go!" With a roar, the restriction chi formed numerous vicious dragons that roared ferociously and fearlessly charged forward. Red Butterfly's expression became cold and she quickly retreated. At the same time, she waved her right hand and an ice statue appeared. This ice statue looked exactly the same as the snake with a human head, but its eyes were closed. As soon as the ice statue appeared, its closed eyes released a blue light that shot forward with a ghostly glow. Bang! The white seal and the ball of lightning collided, creating a powerful explosion. Shockwaves that were half a person tall immediately spread out. At this moment, the blue light from the ice statue's eyes arrived. The ball of lightning was shaken by the blue light and immediately began to emit a series of cracking sounds. Countless icicles appeared on the surface of the ball of lightning and spread at an unimaginable speed. In the blink of an eye, a completely frozen ball of lightning appeared in the air. It was a deep blue on the outside and purplish-black on the inside. There were faint arcs of lightning surrounding it, making it extremely beautiful. The blue light didn't stop there. It continued to spread backwards. The thunder frog let out a miserable groan. It swelled up its abdomen, wanting to spit out another snowball. However, its body was instantly frozen by the blue light. It still maintained its swollen abdomen, but the thunderball died in its abdomen. Even the evil dragon formed by the restricted chi was stopped by the blue light and showed signs of being frozen. This time, Red Butterfly had used the most powerful artifact in her hand. Her goal was to kill Wang Lin in one fell swoop. As soon as Wang Lin's attack was blocked, his eyes flickered and his body moved backward. He placed his right hand on his forehead. In the blink of an eye, black shadows flew out from between his eyebrows and turned into wandering souls that surrounded Wang Lin. Wang Lin's body leaped up and floated in the air. At this moment, he was like a devil descending to earth, his eyes flashing with a strange light. Fragrant! With one word, the tens of thousands of wandering souls around him turned into ghosts. They roared and charged at Red Butterfly without any fear of death. The aftermath of the blue light had little effect on the wandering soul. After all, the wandering soul itself had a certain resistance to all kinds of magic. Chi Hu finally reacted. He frowned and immediately shouted, "Stop!" Red Butterfly's expression changed. She let out a cold laugh and retreated once more. The wandering souls charged at her and a powerful fluctuation spread out in all directions. It was as if they were unwilling to let go. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent. He waved the restriction flag in his hand again, and dozens of strands of restriction gas appeared. They intertwined together and formed a black spear. Under Wang Lin's command, the spear stabbed at Red Butterfly. This spear was like an illusion and was as fast as lightning. It whistled through the air after the wandering souls. Red Butterfly retreated again. She touched the ice sculpture with her right hand, and the ice sculpture immediately grew. It was as tall as a person and stood in front of her. The woman let out a roar, and the eyes of the human-headed snake on the ice sculpture opened as if they were alive. Suddenly, a bright blue light shot out from the ice sculpture. The wandering souls let out miserable cries as they were pierced by the blue light. Some of the wandering souls disappeared from the world. They were originally fearless, but now they felt a trace of fear and didn't dare to move forward. However, the black spear formed by Wang Lin's restriction gas broke through the blue light and charged forward. Wang Lin's body moved and he immediately charged forward. He followed the spear and shouted, "Red Butterfly! Your parents have no one to send them off. This is unfilial." When the wandering souls saw Wang Lin personally charge forward, they no longer retreated. They stood behind Wang Lin like a black peacock spreading its tail, adding to Wang Lin's momentum. You massacred the four sects for your own selfish desires. This is heartless. The black spear was like a hot knife through butter, piercing through the rays of blue light and causing violent fluctuations in the surroundings. Countless fine cracks appeared in the surrounding space, and as the cracks spread out, the rocks on the ground nearby were torn to shreds. You attacked me for no reason. This is unjust. The restriction gas on the ground immediately broke through the ice and entered the spear. This spear became even more powerful. At the same time, as Wang Lin continued to attack, more restriction gas flew out from the restriction flag and entered the spear. The color of the spear became even darker, and its momentum became even more powerful. Your master is still alive, yet you sold yourself to the Rosefinch Kingdom. This is disloyalty. This snatch was the most powerful spear attack after the restriction banner was completed. It gathered all of the restriction chi in the area. Wang Lin descended from the sky, and the countless wandering souls covered the sky. His momentum was like a rainbow, and with one move, it was as if the sky was collapsing. He immediately occupied the sky. The ground was torn apart by the cracks. At this moment, he had the advantage. The sky was collapsing and the earth was collapsing. Even a mid-stage soul formation cultivator would have to drink blood on the spot. You unfilial, heartless, unjust, and disloyal person. What Tao do you cultivate? Your Tao heart is not stable. I want to see how your cultivation level will increase in the future. Qi, whose body also involuntarily took a few steps back. His eyes were filled with shock. He didn't expect this Tsing-Nyo to have such a terrifying move. Man and treasure become one. Qi, who was startled. His eyes suddenly lit up, revealing a trace of battle intent. However, he quickly suppressed it. This person must be a genius from the Tsing family. If I don't use my family's treasure, I fear I won't be able to escape from this attack. However, this red butterfly is at the late stage of soul formation. This Tsing-Nyo is indeed not simple. He knows that he has to destroy Red Butterfly's Tao heart first. Red Butterfly was still too young. Compared to Wang Lin, who had lived for more than 400 years and had seen through everything in the world, her heart was much weaker. Wang Lin's words echoed in Red Butterfly's heart. Her eyes lit up and anger appeared on her face as she retreated again. Wang Lin continued to advance while Red Butterfly continued to retreat. He took advantage of Red Butterfly's lack of battle experience and chased after her without the slightest bit of mercy. Red Butterfly's eyes were filled with killing intent. As the pride of Shuiyu, she had never been in such an embarrassing situation before. In the past, as long as she used her ice sculpture, even late-stage soul formation cultivators at the same cultivation level as her would run away. Also, Rose Finch paid a lot of attention to her in middle school, so she couldn't help but feel a bit arrogant. Wang Lin's spear attack shocked her. The spear attack wasn't very powerful, but there was a strange aura of a treasure inside it. There was even a trace of tribulation lightning inside the spear. However, she was still a late-stage soul formation cultivator. Her eyes lit up and her hands quickly formed a seal. She pointed to her forehead and coughed out a mouthful of blood. Within the blood there was a red light. As soon as the red light appeared, it immediately turned into a delicate and beautiful rose. The moment the rose appeared, the ice sculpture in front of Red Butterfly melted and turned into a blue liquid that surrounded the rose. It was like nutrients for the rose, making it even more beautiful. The spear in front of Wang Lin quickly arrived and with a bang, it hit the rose. Suddenly, a petal fell off and Wang Lin's expression changed. His spear had collapsed. Red Butterfly's face revealed a strange redness, but it quickly disappeared. Wang Lin let out a sigh. Even with such a perfect attack, he couldn't kill this woman. Late-stage soul formation cultivators were indeed powerful. The moment he retreated, a ruthless domain surrounded his body. Red Butterfly stared at the retreating Wang Lin and clenched her teeth as she said, word for word, "You are the first person to force me to use my life treasure. You can rest in peace." At the same time, she reached out with her jade-like hand and plucked a petal from the rose. "Stop. Fellow cultivator Red Butterfly, Brother Tseng, I invited the two of you here. If you continue to fight, don't blame me for being rude." Chi Hu let out a roar and his body flew into the air. "Fellow cultivator Chi Hu, I didn't start this mess." Wang Lin took a deep breath as he used all his strength to resist the ruthless domain and coldly said. Red Butterfly's expression was cold as she looked at Chi Hu and said, "This has nothing to do with you. Back down." Chi Hu's expression changed. He stared at Red Butterfly and laughed. "Fellow cultivator Red Butterfly, what if I insist on participating?" Red Butterfly didn't say anything. She threw the petal in her hand forward, and it slowly floated toward Wang Lin. At this moment, the ground began to tremble and cracks appeared in the sky. It was clear that the power of the petal had reached the limit of the celestial realm fragment. Chi Hu shouted, "Red Butterfly!" Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He slapped his bag of holding and another restriction flag appeared in his hand. With a shake of his hand, the restriction flag flew into the air. Wang Lin softly said, "Attract the tribulation." Unless it was absolutely necessary, Wang Lin didn't want to use this restriction flag to attract the tribulation. If the tribulation descended and the fragment collapsed, Wang Lin didn't know if he would be lucky enough to escape. The restriction flag rose into the sky and turned into a black ring of mist. It descended from the sky and covered a radius of 10 miles. To be continued. Chapter 310. Suddenly, a series of rumbling sounds came from within 5 kilometers of the flag. Wang Lin took a deep breath. His hand quickly moved and a restriction appeared in his hand. As long as he threw this restriction into the sky, the restriction flag would reach 99 groups and cause divine retribution to descend. Red Butterfly's expression changed. She stared at the restriction flag in Wang Lin's hand, and then at the black cloud in the sky. A strong sense of danger filled her heart. This was a feeling she had never felt before. However, at this moment, she had a feeling that if she allowed the opponent to use this technique, there would be a bloody disaster today. At this moment, Chi Hu's expression changed greatly. His entire body floated in the air as he raised his head to look at the black mist. He sighed in his heart. Xing Niu did not use his full strength earlier. This black mist was most likely the true life-saving treasure on him. Chi-Hu shouted, "Fellow cultivator Red Butterfly, the two of you were invited by me. If you insist on attacking, you will be accusing me of being unjust. I will definitely resist together with Brother Tseng. If I don't die, I will definitely report the truth to Ancestor Shi." Chi-Hu shouted. With that, an illusory figure appeared behind Chi-Hu. This figure was more than 30 meters tall, like an ancient giant. Its eyes were filled with a cold light as it stared at Red Butterfly. Red Butterfly couldn't help but hesitate. She knew that this Tsing Nyo's technique was not simple. Furthermore, the illusory figure behind Chi-Hu had already solidified. If she insisted on attacking, the fragment would collapse. She hesitated for a bit before pointing with her right hand. The petal immediately stopped in the air. "Fine, Chi-Hu. Today, for your sake, I won't kill this person. However, that white jade coffin must belong to me." Chi-Hu frowned. Just as he was about to speak, Wang Lin let out a laugh. "Red Butterfly, do you really think I can't kill you?" Wang Lin revealed a smile that wasn't a smile. He raised the restriction in his hand high and said, "I only need to flick my finger to destroy this fragment. Red Butterfly, do you believe me?" Red Butterfly's expression immediately became ugly. Chi-Hu clasped his hands and said, "Brother Tseng, I'll make the decision. How about the three of us divide everything together?" "Okay, I'll listen to Brother Chi-Hu." Wang Lin faintly smiled. In truth, if he didn't have to use the divine retribution, it was best not to. There was only one, and due to the structure of the celestial realm, it would be very difficult for him to escape again. As a result, it was not good. In addition, Wang Lin planned to wait until he left the celestial realm and returned to Suzaku. That would be the best time to kill this woman. Chi-Hu turned to Red Butterfly and said, "Fellow cultivator Red Butterfly, please put away your treasure." Red Butterfly let out a light snort. She waved her right hand and the flower petal flew back into her forehead along with the rose. Red Butterfly stared at Wang Lin and said, word for word, "Tsing Nyo, after we return to planet Suzaku, do you dare to fight me?" Wang Lin let out a laugh and said, "I'll accompany you." Wang Lin squeezed the restriction in his hand and the restriction disappeared. The black fog in the sky condensed into a restriction flag and was put into his bag of holding. As for the thunder frog, it was also put away by Wang Lin. However, the frog was heavily injured and looked dispirited. The killing intent in Wang Lin's heart became even stronger. Red Butterfly looked deeply at Wang Lin. She had to admit that this person had the qualifications to fight her. Chi-Hu secretly let out a sigh of relief. He bitterly smiled in his heart. If he knew that these two were in conflict, he definitely wouldn't have called them over. Red Butterfly was fine, but this Tsing Nyo was able to fight against a late-stage soul formation cultivator at the early stage of soul formation. He was definitely not simple. This kind of person would definitely shine in Suzaku in the future. It was even possible that the country of Rosefinch would take him as a disciple. Chi-Hu took a deep breath, clasped his hands and said, "Okay, fellow cultivator Red Butterfly, Brother Tsing Nyo, follow me. The place marked on the jade is still quite a distance from here." With that, his body moved and he flew forward. Red Butterfly didn't even look at Wang Lin. She turned into a red cloud and chased after Chi-Hu. It was clear that she didn't want to be left behind. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a hint of mockery as he followed. Wang Lin thought, in the end, her Tao heart is still unstable. Although reaching the soul formation stage in 100 years is a miracle, there are too many drawbacks. Her heart is still too weak. It's just flying, how can there be a difference between before and after? With my current cultivation, I have no chance of winning unless I use the power of heaven's retribution. My life and death domain can't shake her ruthless domain that is close to completion. However, if I reach the mid-stage of soul formation, my life and death domain will definitely be able to affect her. Even without using the power of heaven's retribution, I have a 70% chance of defeating her. Wang Lin's life and death domain evolved from the reincarnation heavenly Tao. However, with his early-stage soul formation cultivation, he couldn't fully display the changes between life and death. After all, he had only just comprehended the heavenly Tao. However, once he reached the mid-stage of soul formation, his life and death domain would rise to another level. At that time, he would be able to compete with this woman's ruthless domain. Right now, I don't know if this woman has reached the level where she can break away from the technique. However, her Tao heart is still unstable. I'm afraid she hasn't reached that level yet. In comparison, I am one step faster than her, Wang Lin thought. After reaching the soul formation stage, Wang Lin felt that all the techniques in the world, except for some extremely profound techniques, were useless. A soul formation cultivator could use the power of heaven and earth with a wave of their hand. Therefore, the main usage still depended on one's own understanding of the domain. The life and death domain was full of changes. However, this change was not easy to understand. Right now, Wang Lin was only at the beginner level. When could he achieve the completion of the life and death domain in a spell and cover all changes? Only then could he say that he had reached the completion of the life and death domain. With a wave of his hand, he could change life and death and replace the reincarnation laws of heaven and earth. While flying, Wang Lin carefully experienced the battle with Red Butterfly and gained more insight. The three of them were not ordinary people, so their speed was very fast. Soon, under Qi Hu's guidance, they arrived at the other end of the celestial realm fragment. There was a large mountain here. This mountain was shaped like a dragon. The dragon's head was in the clouds, ethereal and ethereal. It was a rare celestial land. Wang Lin looked up at the mountain and slowly said, "Brother Qi Hu, why hasn't anyone found the place recorded in the jade yet? I need Brother Qi Hu to answer this question." Qi Hu smiled and said, "To tell you the truth, Brother Tsing, the reason why I am so sure about the place recorded in the jade is because the fragment can't descend from the whirlpool." Wang Lin's eyes revealed a hint of interest. Red Butterfly's eyes narrowed as she looked at Qi Hu. Qi Hu smiled and said, "The fragment recorded in the jade is an extremely rare overlapping fragment in the celestial realm." Wang Lin's expression changed slightly. He immediately understood that there were many fragments of the celestial realm, and they were all irregular fragments. With the I-5 fusion, there would naturally be some fragments that would overlap, making it very difficult for others to find out. Even if someone randomly descends from the whirlpool, they would only land on the first fragment. No one would think that there would be more fragments below. Based on this theory, it can ensure that no one will find it. Also, even the first fragment isn't a place that can be casually entered. There is no way to construct a transfer array there, so even if someone accidentally enters, it will be very difficult to stop. Qi Hu smiled. Red Butterfly sneered and asked, "How did Lord Shizu find it back then?" Qi Hu's eyes lit up and he said, "Fellow cultivator Red Butterfly, this matter involves my giant demon clan's secret, so it's not convenient for me to tell you." Wang Lin looked at the dragon-shaped mountain and didn't speak. Qi Hu's body moved and he flew toward the top of the dragon-shaped mountain. Soon, the three of them arrived at the top of the mountain. Qi Hu spread out his divine sense and said, "A month ago, I came here to investigate. The transfer array is still intact. If we enter through this transfer array, we will be able to reach the closest fragment." With that, he stepped onto an empty space. There was a flash of light and Qi Hu's body disappeared. Red Butterfly looked at Wang Lin. Her eyes lit up and without a word, she entered the transfer array. After Red Butterfly's figure disappeared, Wang Lin calmly walked into the transfer array. Among the many fragments of the celestial realm, there was a fragment at the southern end. The environment here was extremely harsh and cold. The ground was covered in ice. When Wang Lin walked out of the transfer array, he immediately frowned. He saw that Red Butterfly had a look of enjoyment on her face. It was clear that not only was this place not uncomfortable for her, it was actually very comfortable. Chi Hu said, "Fellow cultivator Red Butterfly, this place leads to the first fragment. 300,000 miles to the east is a land of 10,000-year-old ice. We will need fellow cultivator's spell to resist the cold. Once we pass the cold, we will enter the void of the celestial realm. I have a compass that can lock onto us so we won't get lost in the void. Brother Tseng, your soul-like refining soul is the most useful in the void, so I hope you won't hold back. After passing through the void, we can enter the first fragment. After all, there is no transfer array there, so this is the only way to ensure that the three of us can enter." After hearing this, Wang Lin's heart became clear. The reason Chi Hu came to find him was because he wanted the wandering souls. It was likely that with the help of the wandering souls, they would be able to easily pass through the first fragment. Red Butterfly's body moved forward and she flew eastward. In the blink of an eye, the three of them disappeared into the distance. However, after flying for several miles, Wang Lin looked back in the direction he just came from and revealed a trace of doubt. 300,000 miles would take a lot of time for the three of them. On this day, the three of them arrived 300,000 miles away. This place was the easternmost edge of the fragment. Not far away, the earth seemed to be torn apart. There was an irregular tooth mark, and below it was a black void. "I've rested enough. Tomorrow I'll ask for vote." Not only did I lose third place, I might not even be able to secure fourth place. Chapter 3:11. 100 feet away from the ground, there was a deep blue glacier that stretched as far as the eye could see. There were only a few edges that were connected to the ground. This glacier was connected to the ground, but it also floated in the air below the ground. Wang Lin frowned. He looked around and suddenly said, "Brother Chi Hu, is there anything special about the first fragment? Brother Chi Hu, is there anything special about the first fragment? Or is there a point where the celestial realm Chi gathers?" Chi Hu was startled and said, "That place is heavily damaged, so there shouldn't be any celestial spiritual energy. Furthermore, my clan's ancestor didn't say there was anything special about it. He only said it was dangerous." Wang Lin calmly looked behind him and said, "Since that's the case, then I won't ask any more questions." Red Butterfly's gaze swept past Wang Lin, but she didn't say anything. Her body moved and she easily crossed the 100 feet distance, landing on the glacier. Chi Hu took a deep breath and quickly followed. While he was still in the air, Wang Lin's body moved forward and the two of them landed on the edge of the glacier. The moment they landed, a trace of cold air entered their bodies. Wang Lin circulated his spirit energy to expel the cold air. Chi Hu smiled and said, "This place still needs fellow cultivator Red Butterfly's technique. Don't hold back." Red Butterfly didn't say anything and flew forward. Chi Hu gave Wang Lin a self-mocking smile, and the two of them followed behind her. Red Butterfly's speed was extremely fast. The further they went, the heavier the cold air became and the deeper the blue glacier became. Occasionally, there would be icy wind that would come from the distance, and it was bone-chilling. Not long after the three of them left, a middle-aged man appeared at the point where the glacier connected to the ground. He held a gourd in his hand and took a big gulp. He muttered to himself, "Ting Er, we'll leave after I take the celestial jades. The three of them are from Suzaku like me, but if they dare to steal the celestial jades from me, I'll kill them." As the man spoke, he slowly walked forward. Wang Lin's group of three quickly flew above the glacier. 3 days later, Wang Lin suddenly saw a layer of blue mist in the distance that seemed to be devouring the heavens and earth. It was spreading toward their location. Chi Hu's eyes lit up and he said, "The glacier's mist contains extreme cold energy. Red Butterfly, it's up to you now." Without saying anything, Red Butterfly slapped her bag of holding and an ice sculpture flew out. It turned into a snow fairy that was dozens of feet tall. The moment the snow fairy ice sculpture appeared, it immediately flew forward. In the blink of an eye, the blue mist closed in, but the moment it touched the ice sculpture, it was pushed to the side. The ice sculpture pierced through the blue mist like a hot knife through butter, opening a path. Chi-Hu laughed. Fellow cultivator Red Butterfly's snow fairy ice sculpture is truly amazing. I admire it. Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he carefully looked at the snow celestial ice sculpture. He found a total of more than 100 snow meridians moving through it. Aside from these snow meridians, there were also a lot of dim meridians that hadn't moved yet. This item must be an important treasure of Shuiyu. It's similar to the human-headed snake from before, thought Wang Lin. With the snow fairy clearing the path, the three of them didn't slow down at all. The blue mist became thicker, and soon, a crack appeared on the snow fairy ice sculpture. Red Butterfly frowned. Her hand formed a seal, and she pointed at the ice sculpture. Suddenly, the dim meridians that hadn't been activated lit up and joined the meridians. As more and more meridians appeared, the cracks on the ice sculpture gradually disappeared. The entire ice sculpture released waves of cold energy. Far behind the three of them, the middle-aged man holding the gourd was drinking wine as he walked forward. The moment the blue mist got close to him, it was blocked by an invisible force and went around him. When the mist was dense, the middle-aged man would spit out the wine in his mouth, and the mist would quickly dissipate like ice being sprinkled with boiling oil. Ting Air, the coldness of this mist isn't even a part of your body. Your body is still the best. Hugging you makes my heart feel at ease. After a few days, the blue mist gradually thinned. Red Butterfly had already changed 3 ice sculptures in these few days. The longer it was, the colder the mist became. In the end, a purple mist suddenly appeared and the ice sculpture immediately shattered. Red Butterfly released her life treasure, the beautiful rose, and only then did she survive. She had used up a lot of her spiritual energy and her face was pale. She would occasionally look at Wang Lin with a guarded expression. Wang Lin was very shocked the entire way. If he was by himself, he wouldn't have been able to enter this place. This was especially true for the purple mist. Just by touching it, Wang Lin felt half his body go cold. Even a normal late-stage soul formation cultivator would find it difficult to move here. Only someone like Red Butterfly, who had cultivated an ice and snow cultivation method since childhood, could safely pass through. Chi-Hu clearly had his own plans when he asked Red Butterfly to join him. Time slowly passed and the blue fog finally dissipated. When the three of them arrived at the edge of the glacier, Red Butterfly's face was expressionless as she coldly said, "I've already done what I needed to do. From now on, I won't do anything." Chi-Hu laughed and sincerely clasped his hands. "Red Butterfly, just watch us. You've used up a lot of spiritual energy these past few days, so you need to rest." With that, he casually looked at Wang Lin and placed himself between Wang Lin and Red Butterfly. Wang Lin faintly smiled. If Chi-Hu wasn't here, he might have tried to make a move. However, Chi-Hu's actions meant that if he made a move, Chi-Hu would stop him. In addition, Wang Lin didn't believe that Red Butterfly would be this weak. She was probably purposely revealing this scene to bait him into making a move. Even if she really used up all her spiritual energy, she would have pills to replenish it. With Wang Lin's cunning, how could he fall for this brat's trick? Chi-Hu slapped his bag of holding and a ray of green light flew out. The moment the green light appeared, it turned into a giant compass that floated 100 feet away. Red Butterfly stared at the compass and coldly said, "The giant demon clan's treasure, the star compass?" Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he looked at the compass. There were countless complex patterns engraved on the compass, and they were very profound. Just one look at them made Wang Lin feel like his divine sense was being sucked in. His heart trembled as he withdrew his divine sense. There was a description of the star compass in the ancient God 2C's memories, and even the method to refine it. However, many of the materials needed to refine it were extinct. Chi-Hu smiled and said, "If it really is the star compass, then with my cultivation, there is no way I can use it. This is just a fake star compass, and its effect is much weaker than the real one." Red Butterfly looked at the compass and silently nodded. "Red Butterfly, there is a defensive barrier on the west side of the compass. You can go there to recover your cultivation. I, Chi-Hu, promise that no one will disturb you on this trip into the void." With that, Chi-Hu smiled at Wang Lin. Red Butterfly didn't say anything else. She landed on the west side and sat down cross-legged. Suddenly, a green barrier appeared around her. "Brother Tseng, I still need you to hold the east position. There are many unknown things in the void, so I need your refined soul to observe them so that I can change direction. Don't casually spread out your divine sense in the void, or else a disaster will befall you. This is what my clan's ancestor, Shizu, told me many times in the past." After Chi-Hu finished speaking, he landed in the center of the compass and sat down cross-legged. Wang Lin pondered a bit before flying to the east position and sitting down. Wang Lin looked at the north and south and said, "Brother Chi-Hu, this compass should be best used by 5 people, right?" "That's right. If there are 2 more people, then this trip will be safe. However, the treasures aren't enough for 5 people." Chi-Hu smiled. Then he took a deep breath and placed his hand on the compass below him. He loudly said, "Brother Tseng, if this compass collapses in the void, none of us will survive. This trip is very important, so I hope Brother Tseng won't hold back. I will use all my strength to control the direction of the compass and won't be able to make a move. It's all up to Brother Tseng." Wang Lin nodded. With one thought, he held the restriction flag in his hand and his body was covered in black fog. If Chi-Hu or Red Butterfly attacked him while he was using the restriction flag, it would be able to stop them for a bit, giving him time to counterattack. This was a necessary precaution. It was necessary at all times. Chi-Hu's eyes lit up, but he didn't get angry. Instead, he felt that this was natural. If it was him, he would do the same. He closed his eyes and injected spiritual energy into the compass. The compass trembled, and in the blink of an eye, it moved 10,000 feet away. This wasn't teleportation, but a very fast speed. The moment Chi-Hu activated the star compass, a mysterious force surrounded the star compass. Under the effect of this mysterious force, Wang Lin felt like his divine sense had fused with the star compass. Not only him, but Red Butterfly and Chi-Hu's divine senses were also fused with the star compass. The 3 divine senses were all inside this mysterious force. "Red Butterfly, Brother Tseng, don't be alarmed. This is the compass's normal power. The 3 of us can't speak, so we can only communicate with our divine senses here." Chi-Hu's divine sense sent out a message. "Brother Tseng, this is the star map. After memorizing it, release the soul refining spell. If you find anything strange, please tell me immediately." A map made of countless dots appeared in this mysterious force, and was immediately noticed by Wang Lin. He looked at it and without a word pointed at his brow. Suddenly, a third of the wandering souls came out of his brow and started to explore the area. This star compass is indeed mysterious. It must be a must-have treasure for traveling through space. If I have the chance in the future, I must find one. Unfortunately, although I have the method to make it, I don't have the materials. Otherwise, it would be best if I could make one myself. Wang Lin was very interested in this star compass. The speed of the star compass exceeded his expectations. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared into the void. There were thousands of wandering souls around the star compass. They were like fish in water in this void, and they slowly spread out. I said it's 3 and it's 3. I'm only 20 votes away from 3rd place. Fellow cultivator, please help me. Chapter 312. Wang Lin didn't spread out his divine sense, but there was a subtle connection between him and these wandering souls. Not long after, Wang Lin's expression suddenly changed. Wang Lin immediately sent out a message with his divine sense. 5 miles ahead, there's something strange. 5 miles ahead of the compass, there was a huge creature slowly swaying. This creature looked like a giant octopus. It had countless tentacles that swayed along with its body. As soon as one of the wandering souls got close, it was immediately touched by a tendril and dissipated into thin air. Wang Lin took a deep breath and transmitted this scene to his divine sense. Without saying anything, Qi Hu immediately changed the direction of the compass and went around it. As he went around it, one of the tentacles swept past the edge of the compass. Bang! The feng shui compass trembled and began to violently flip over, hurtling towards the north. Wang Lin only felt a powerful force pass through him. His internal organs felt like they were being hit by tens of thousands of pounds of force. He coughed up a mouthful of blood, but he didn't spit it out. Instead, he swallowed it. The compass was still spinning, and in the blink of an eye, it had flown far away. Qi Hu's face was red, and blood was flowing from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were completely red as he let out a roar. After a long time, he slowly stabilized the compass. His body seemed to be exhausted as he took out a pill from his bag of holding. Red Butterfly was also in a sorry state. Her eyes revealed a rare trace of shock. After an unknown amount of time, Qi Hu took a deep breath and sent out a message with his divine sense. Luckily Brother Tsing found out early. Otherwise, the 3 of us would have died here today. Red Butterfly asked, "What kind of monster is that?" Wang Lin didn't say this information. Qi Hu said, "Brother Tsing is very knowledgeable. I admire you. Who knows if it's real or fake? Don't randomly say a name." Red Butterfly snorted and coldly said. Wang Lin calmly said, "Ignorant. You." Red Butterfly's eyes flashed. Qi Hu felt a headache coming on. Just as he was about to say something, Wang Lin said, "This thing normally has to be put away. It will only come out when it's looking for food. Brother Qi Hu, quickly fly to the north. When this thing is looking for food, it will release a red void energy. It's not something we can block." Qi Hu was startled. If they went any further north, they would be completely lost. He couldn't help but hesitate. In truth, he also had his suspicions about what Wang Lin had said before, but he wouldn't directly expose him like Red Butterfly. Wang Lin sighed and stood up. Without any hesitation, he charged out of the compass. The restriction flag immediately wrapped around his body as he flew north. Brother Tseng. Qi Hu was startled. It's good that he left. I don't believe that he really knows that creature. Red Butterfly coldly said. Qi Hu frowned. In order to be sure, he gritted his teeth and took the risk to spread out his divine sense towards the south. Not long after, his expression changed. He saw an unending red shockwave in the distance. It quickly spread out and charged towards him. Qi Hu was shocked. Without any hesitation, he controlled the compass and quickly flew north. Red Butterfly was also startled. She spread out her divine sense and her expression immediately became ugly. After Wang Lin left the compass, he quickly flew north. Although he didn't know the power of the red shockwave, he had a deep impression of it from Shintusi's memories. That was why he didn't hesitate to leave the compass and fly by himself. Qi Hu's expression was gloomy. He quickly controlled the compass to fly, but the red shockwave was extremely terrifying. In almost an instant it arrived. 0 calories. The moment a corner of the compass touched the red shockwave, it strangely disappeared as if it had been swallowed. The compass violently shook and Qi Hu coughed out blood. Even Red Butterfly's face became strangely red. Red Butterfly, attack. I'm focusing on controlling the compass and can't use any techniques to resist, roared Qi Hu. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. He regretted not listening to Tsing Yo's advice. Otherwise, with the compass's speed, they wouldn't be in such a predicament. Without a word, Red Butterfly pointed at her forehead and a rose appeared once more. She quickly plucked 2 petals and flicked them at the red shockwave. Bang! Bang! 2 earth-shattering explosions rang out and the red shockwaves immediately exploded in all directions. Red Butterfly felt a sweetness in her throat and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. Taking advantage of the shockwave's pause, Chi-Hu's eyes were completely red. He crazily controlled the compass to charge out of the red shockwave. However, he hadn't escaped danger yet. The red shockwave was struck by the rose petals and a gap appeared. But this gap was like a giant mouth that was rapidly trying to swallow the compass. Boom! The mouth closed and the compass shook once more. Cracks appeared on it. Chi-Hu was exhausted and Red Butterfly's face was pale. Boom! The incense fell once more. This time, it was only a sliver away. Clenching her teeth, Red Butterfly plucked a stamen from the rose and flicked it at the shockwave. Bang! 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 The intense explosions were so loud that even the distant Wang Lin could hear them clearly. He sneered and increased his speed. Xiao San and the compass finally charged out of the huge mouth formed by the swallowing energy wave. They turned into a meteor and flew toward the north. Red Butterfly's expression had never been so ugly before. If a flower petal disappeared, it could be automatically replaced. But there were only 3 stamens. Each time one disappeared, it was very difficult to replace. Wang Lin paused in midair and looked back. Not long after, he saw the compass miserably flying over. Chi-Hu looked at Wang Lin from a distance and bitterly smiled. At this moment, Wang Lin's importance in his heart had grown infinitely greater. He had already surpassed Red Butterfly. He took a deep breath and the compass stopped beside Wang Lin. He bitterly smiled and said, "Brother Tsing, come up and we'll talk." Wang Lin didn't hesitate. He landed on the eastern side of the compass and sat down cross-legged. The compass was now missing a corner. Only the east, west, and north sides remained. "Brother Tsing, I know I was wrong about what happened before. What other tricks does that life form have after the shockwave? What direction should we go now?" Chi-Hu awkwardly asked. Red Butterfly's expression was unsightly and she didn't say a word. "Since we've escaped the shockwave, there shouldn't be any problems for the time being. Brother Chi-Hu, just follow the directions on the map and think of a way to fly," said Wang Lin. Chi-Hu bitterly nodded and sighed inside. They had to hurry. Otherwise, with the compass damaged, it would be very difficult to fly for a long time. Several days later, Chi-Hu found a spot on the map and the compass quickly flew in that direction. Along the way, Red Butterfly didn't say a word and let Wang Lin lead the way. Chi-Hu no longer hesitated and listened to everything Wang Lin said. There were all kinds of life forms in the void. Along the way, Wang Lin's knowledge had increased by several times. He encountered many life forms from ancient god Tu Si's memories. Under his guidance, the compass flew through the perilous land of nothingness without mishap. They were getting closer and closer to their destination. Traveling through the void was very time-consuming, and those life forms weren't everywhere. It had already been more than 10 days and they hadn't encountered any dangerous life forms. Wang Lin sat on the compass and occasionally discussed the Tao with Chi-Hu. Both of them felt that they had learned a lot. Chi-Hu smiled and said, "My giant demon clan is not originally from Suzaku. Our ancestors moved here countless years ago, so some of our abilities are naturally different from yours." Wang Lin secretly nodded. Time quickly passed. On this day, Wang Lin was cultivating with his eyes closed, sensing the wandering souls. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and looked into the distance. Through the wandering souls, he saw a floating object several dozen feet wide. This floating object looked like a large stone that was shining with a purple and gold light. Purple golden stone. Wang Lin's heart shook. In ancient god Tu Si's memories, One of the materials needed to make the star compass was this purple golden stone. If he hadn't seen the star compass, Wang Lin wouldn't have been tempted. However, at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He stood up and said, "Brother Chi-Hu, please wait a moment. I saw a refining material. Wait for me to get it before we leave." With that, he didn't wait for Chi-Hu to speak and quickly flew toward the purple golden stone. Wang Lin secretly thought, "Back when I was comprehending the heavens, I met a senior named Tian Yunzi. He said that if I could leave Suzaku, I could go to planet Tian Yunzi to find him. He would take me as his honorary disciple for 100 years. That person's cultivation must be at the soul connecting realm. I can't give up on this opportunity. I must have this star compass." His speed was very fast, so it didn't take long for him to arrive at the purple golden stone. Looking at the large piece of purple golden stone, Wang Lin took a deep breath, put it away into his bag of holding, and returned. After returning to the compass, Chi-Hu asked what material Wang Lin needed, but Wang Lin avoided it with a smile. Another month passed. Wang Lin was constantly checking the surroundings, but he didn't find any more materials. On this day, while the compass was flying through the void, it suddenly trembled violently. Cracks appeared on the compass and quickly spread. At the same time, a powerful force suddenly appeared and threw the three of them off the compass. Chi-Hu bitterly smiled and waved his right hand. The compass immediately shrank and returned to his hand. "First, the compass is seriously damaged and can't keep flying. The three of us will have to rely on our spells to walk. Luckily, we aren't far away. At full speed, we should arrive in about 3 days." 3 days passed in a flash. On this day, Wang Lin saw a piece of land in the distance. This was the first layer of the celestial realm fragment. The second update was delivered. Monthly votes, monthly votes, monthly votes. Chapter 313. The ground was barren and filled with bottomless pits. There were also many cracks in the sky. Sometimes a few cracks would connect together and then disappear. Some collapsed buildings could also be seen on the ground. After Chi-Hu arrived, his eyes lit up and he said, "There's no anchor, this is the place." Shizu once described the first layer in detail. Then he lowered his head and began to calculate. His divine sense spread out as if he was looking for a certain location. Wang Lin frowned. He looked around and suddenly said, "Brother Chi-Hu, the place recorded in the jade is where the fragments overlap. What layer is it?" Red Butterfly frowned and said, "Nonsense, of course it's the second layer." Red Butterfly hadn't spoken in a long time. At this moment she snorted and said, "Nonsense, of course it's the second layer. It's already not easy for the celestial realm to have 2 layers of fragments overlap." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he coldly said, "Ignorant." After being called ignorant again, Red Butterfly's eyes revealed killing intent and she immediately stared at Wang Lin. Chi-Hu bitterly smiled and quickly said, "Brother Tseng, it is indeed the second layer, but my clan Shizu guessed that there might be a third layer below it." Red Butterfly was startled. Her eyes lit up and she silently pondered. Wang Lin's expression didn't change. He still felt like something was wrong. Earlier, he had felt like someone was following him. This feeling was very mysterious and wasn't related to cultivation. It was because of Wang Lin's many years of killing. "Found it, follow me." After a long time, Chi-Hu's body moved and he flew forward. Soon, the three of them stopped at a location in the northeast. This is the place where Shizu left the plum blossom mark and the calculation method. There's no anchor. Chi-Hu had a happy expression as he landed next to a deep pit. Wang Lin looked down and saw that the pit was indeed in the shape of a plum blossom. Chi-Hu jumped into the pit. Red Butterfly looked at Wang Lin and followed behind him. Wang Lin spread out his divine sense and found that the pit was bottomless. After pondering for a bit, he jumped in. Not long after the three of them entered the cave, the middle-aged man with the gourd appeared next to the pit. He took a sip of wine and waved his hand, causing a pagoda to appear. The white-robed woman's body flew out again and was caught by him. He looked at the corpse and slightly shook his head as he muttered to himself, "Ting er, I'm afraid this group of juniors have wasted their time. I've already turned the coffin into a pagoda. Unfortunately, you've already absorbed most of the coffin's energy in just a few thousand years. Ting er, don't worry, I'll go find more celestial jades. There should be some on the third floor." With that, he planted a kiss on the forehead of the corpse. However, his expression suddenly changed. With a wave of his hand, the corpse and the pagoda disappeared. He looked up at the sky. A rumble came from the sky as a person walked out from the crack. This person had white hair and a face full of wrinkles. He was extremely fast and flashed out from the cracks in the blink of an eye. Why bother? The old man has searched this damn place for so long and has gone through almost every fragment, but I still haven't found a celestial corpse. He let out a sigh as he descended from the sky. When he saw the middle-aged man, he couldn't help but smile and say, "Hello, hello." The middle-aged man frowned. Among the people that came from Suzaku, only this old man made him feel dread. He could see that this old man's cultivation level was the same as his, mid-stage soul transformation. However, he had never seen this person before. There weren't many soul transformation cultivators in Suzaku, and the middle-aged man was confident that he knew every single soul transformation cultivator. He looked at the old man, didn't say a word, and jumped into the pit. Ignoring me, how rude." The old man rubbed his nose. He glanced at the pit that the middle-aged man had jumped into and was about to leave when he suddenly sniffed the air around him. Death aura. That's right, it's death aura, the aura of a celestial corpse. I can't be wrong. It should be a female corpse. Haha, a female corpse is even better, even better. The old man's eyes lit up. He looked around and suddenly stared at the pit the middle-aged man fell into. His body flashed and he quickly rushed in. Now I can complete the sect head's mission and leave this godforsaken Suzaku. The sect head is really strange. Serene, don't have any bodies, so why did he want a celestial corpse? I wonder which planet's guest has such a unique taste. The old man had a happy expression as he thought to himself. Wang Lin's group of three moved very fast. After entering the pit, they kept falling. They didn't know how long they had been falling, but they still couldn't see the bottom. At the same time, they felt a force of resistance moving up and down. This is the place. After we go down, we can enter the place recorded in the jade. However, there are some restrictions there, but with the three of us we can definitely break them. Chi-Hu's voice was filled with joy. The deeper they went, the stronger the resistance became. At this moment, the resistance had reached a certain level, so their speed naturally slowed down. After a long time, the resistance became even stronger. Wang Lin took a deep breath and circulated spiritual energy throughout his body to resist the pressure. He secretly calculated that they had already fallen more than 10,000 feet, but they still couldn't see the bottom. His divine sense spread out, but there was a mysterious force that made it so that his divine sense could only probe up to 10,000 feet. Wang Lin looked at Red Butterfly. Her body was emitting a blue light, but her face was expressionless. As for Chi-Hu, the axe mark between his eyebrows was flashing intensely. Every time it flashed, the resistance outside his body would decrease by a bit. It was very mysterious. Time slowly passed. After an unknown amount of time, Chi-Hu, who was in front, shouted in joy, "We've arrived." Wang Lin's mind trembled. He took out the restriction flag and charged forward. The three of them charged out of the pit at almost the same time. At the moment he charged out, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He waved the restriction flag in his hand, and it quickly wrapped around his body. His eyes no longer felt the pain. After taking a closer look, his expression became very strange. This place wasn't big, it was only 100 feet wide. There was indeed a pool of water in the middle of this place. However, there was no white jade coffin on top of the pool, not to mention the 3 celestial swords on top of the coffin. As for spiritual herbs, there was no sign of them. Aside from the lack of treasures, this place was exactly the same as the jade. Chi-Hu stared blankly at the scene in front of him. His mind was blank. He had spent so much effort and even used the compass to get here, but he didn't expect it to be like this. Red Butterfly sneered with a trace of anger and said, "Chi-Hu, this is the place you were talking about? I wasted my stamen to enter this place? If you don't give me an explanation today, I won't let this go." Wang Lin looked around with a strange expression and couldn't help but bitterly smile. He wasn't as angry as Red Butterfly. After all, not only did he not suffer any losses along the way, he even obtained a purple golden stone. If he counted it, he had made a profit. Thinking of this, he moved forward and began to wander around the surroundings, carefully searching everywhere. Red Butterfly's eyes revealed a trace of anger. She also began to quickly search, hoping to find some treasures. Chi-Hu stared at the scene in front of him and muttered to himself, "How could this be impossible? Could it be that someone came here after Shizu found this place and took away the treasures? That's right, it must be like this." He bitterly shook his head and looked at Wang Lin and Red Butterfly, who were looking around. He cupped his hands and said, "You too, I was reckless this time. I also didn't expect it to be like this." Red Butterfly was about to go crazy. She turned around and stared at Chi-Hu. She slowly said, word for word, "Just because I was reckless, you think you can make up for the stamen I lost? Chi-Hu, I think you already knew this place would be like this. You purposely borrowed my power to come here. If you don't explain it today, don't blame me for ignoring our friendship." Wang Lin's expression didn't change as he carefully looked around. Unfortunately, he didn't find anything. Finally, his gaze fell on the pool of water. The pool of water was completely dark and bottomless. After Chi-Hu heard Red Butterfly's words, his expression became ugly, but he endured it and said, "Red Butterfly, after we return to Suzaku, I'll give you an explanation. However, you said I had another purpose, which is absolutely not the case. I, Chi-Hu, am the young master of the giant demon clan. Although I'm not as noble as you, I am still a man of my word." Red Butterfly sneered. Just as she was about to speak, Wang Lin suddenly said, "Chi-Hu, you said before that there was a 3rd floor?" Chi-Hu was startled for a moment, then his eyes lit up and he said, "Brother Tsing-Nyo, that's right. My clan's Shizu analyzed that there should be a 3rd floor." "Shizu? Your clan's Shizu said that there was a treasure in the 2nd floor." Red Butterfly coldly mocked. Chi-Hu's eyes were gloomy as he looked at Red Butterfly. After a long time, he took a deep breath and walked toward Wang Lin. His gaze also fell on the pool of water. Wang Lin slowly said, "If there really is a 3rd floor, then this should be the entrance." Red Butterfly let out a snort. Her body moved forward and she looked inside the pool of water. Just at this moment, a person suddenly floated down from the tunnel above. The moment this person appeared, he took a step forward and appeared above the pool of water before Wang Lin and company. A powerful force came from his body, causing Chi-Hu's face to turn pale. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and his body was knocked back. As for Red Butterfly, she let out a cry and retreated. Her eyes were filled with shock. Wang Lin had been vigilant the entire time. He already knew that someone was following them, so the moment the other person appeared, he retreated. Although he was still affected by the force field, he wasn't injured. His face only became a bit red as he retreated a few dozen feet. The person looked at Wang Lin, picked up the gourd in his hand, and took a big gulp. Chi-Hu exclaimed, 5 element sex Zhou-yi. The middle-aged man revealed a smile and said, "Little guy from the giant demon clan, you recognize me?" After Red Butterfly heard the name Zhou-Yi, her expression immediately changed. Her eyes revealed a deeply hidden sense of disgust. Chi-Hu quickly and respectfully said, "Junior Giant Demon Clan's Chi-Hu greets Senior. Junior has heard of Senior's name since I was young." As the young master of the Giant Demon Clan, he had been trained since he was young. He had seen all of the soul transformation cultivators in the Suzaku, so when he saw the red gourd, he immediately recognized this person. This was especially true because Zhou-Yi had a very strange hobby. This hobby was later proven to be true, so Chi-Hu naturally remembered this hobby very well. "I said it's the third watch, and it's the third watch. Everyone knows what kind of person he is. Fellow Taoist, you won't regret giving me your monthly ticket." His goal wasn't big. He just wanted to surpass third place and replace it. Chapter 314. The middle-aged man smiled and swept his gaze over Red Butterfly. Finally, he looked at Wang Lin and said, "Little fellow, you're very sensitive. I'm afraid you've already sensed something along the way." Wang Lin's expression did not change as he respectfully said, "Junior only sensed it, I am not completely sure." When Chi-Hu and Red Butterfly heard their words, their expressions became strange. "The jade coffin in this place has long since been taken away by me. The three of you should return," said the middle-aged man. Chi-Hu bitterly smiled and quickly agreed. Red Butterfly's eyes flashed. She looked at the pond but didn't say anything. The middle-aged man had a faint smile on his face as he said, "There is indeed a third level here. If you are not afraid of death, you can give it a try. The entrance is this pool." It was at this moment that the sound of something piercing through the air could be heard from the cave above, and a figure descended from above. "Ha ha, how lively!" That figure stopped in midair. It was the white-haired old man. The middle-aged man's eyes immediately darkened. He stared at the old man and said, "Sir, why have you followed me here?" The old man laughed and said, "I don't have any intentions. I'm just a little interested in the third floor." "Why? You won't let me in?" The middle-aged man let out a cold snort. After pondering for a while, he took a step forward without saying anything. Bang! The pool under him immediately seemed to explode. The water in the pool scattered in all directions, revealing a cave at the bottom of the pool. The middle-aged man moved and went in like a bolt of lightning. The old man's eyes flickered as he followed closely behind. Red Butterfly clenched her teeth. She had suffered great losses this time, and if she didn't gain anything, she wouldn't be willing. She jumped into the cave. Even if it was a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, she would still give it a try. Chi-Hu looked at Wang Lin and bitterly smiled. "Brother Tseng, are you going to investigate or are you going to leave?" Wang Lin's expression was as usual. He didn't answer. Instead, he asked, "Brother Chi-Hu, who is that Zhou-Yi?" Chi-Hu's expression was strange. He hesitated for a bit and didn't say anything. Instead, he sent a voice transmission, "Brother Tseng, this person is one of the few soul transformation old monsters in Suzaku. His cultivation is unfathomable and he has a special hobby, which is corpse-loving. Corpse fetish." Wang Lin was taken aback. "Don't say it out loud. If he hears it, you'll definitely die," Chi-Hu quickly said. Then, he clasped his fists and said, "Brother Tseng, I want to go take a look. How about we go together?" Wang Lin pondered for a moment and nodded. The two of them immediately flew towards the cave in the pool. The cave in the pool was not deep, and the two of them were extremely fast. It did not take long for them to pass through it, and when they reappeared, they were in a world that seemed to be made of crystal. This place was filled with white crystals that looked like sharp swords. Bursts of vigorous celestial energy were emitted from these crystals and filled the surroundings. In the distance, Red Butterfly held a gourd in her hand and was rapidly collecting immortal energy. Chi-Hu's eyes were filled with joy. Without a word, he slapped his bag of holding and took out a green bag. With a shake, a large amount of celestial spiritual energy entered the bag. At the same time, he landed on one of the crystals and slapped it. A metallic sound could be heard, but the crystal did not move at all. Wang Lin's eyes flickered. He also took out the spirit-absorbing wood and began to absorb the surrounding celestial spiritual energy. The three of them did not say a word as they tried their best to absorb the energy. Wang Lin's spirit-absorbing wood was not as amazing as Chi-Hu and Chi-Hu's treasure, so its speed was slightly slower. However, not long after, a loud rumble came from the distance. The voice of the middle-aged man, Zhou-Yi, could be heard from afar. "Old man, don't push me too far. There is a lot of celestial spiritual energy here. Why are you following me instead of collecting it? You have the aura of death on you, so of course I have to follow you." As the two were talking, two rays of light rapidly flew toward the location of Wang Lin's group of three. They arrived before them in the blink of an eye. The middle-aged man's eyes flickered as he raised his right hand and grabbed at the air behind him. A giant vortex appeared behind him, and a strong suction force was emitted. The crystals on the ground began to emit cracking sounds as cracks began to appear on them. Time white. Time self, a large number of crystals broke off and were sucked into the vortex. The old man behind the middle-aged man was startled. His hands quickly performed a hand seal, causing a giant coffin to appear behind him. The coffin was purple-red in color. The old man leapt onto the coffin to resist the suction force from the vortex. As the two executed their techniques, the celestial spiritual energy in the area immediately became chaotic. The old man stared at the vortex and laughed. Imperial spirit technique. Haha, so you're Zhou-Yi, the Zhou-Yi with the necrophilia. I was wondering why you had such a strong aura of death on your body. Then he slapped the coffin under him. The sound of fingernails rubbing against the coffin lid came from inside the coffin. The sound was ear-piercing, as if it contained endless power. At the same time, black gas came out from the coffin and turned into a giant ghostly claw that looked like it came from the underworld. The ghostly claw was completely black and emitted a black glow as it reached toward the vortex. Bang! With a loud bang, the third layer of the celestial fragment began to tremble. The ground cracked and countless crystals turned to dust. Cracks appeared in the sky and opened up like giant mouths. A large amount of celestial spiritual energy was sucked out of these mouths. In the blink of an eye, there was not a single bit of celestial spiritual energy left. Corpse sect. You must be the head elder of the corpse sect. If the two of us fight, I'm afraid all of these fragments will collapse. If one fragment collapses, then with our cultivation we can still escape, but I can tell you that there are a total of 6 layers of fragments here. As long as one of them collapses, then all the other fragments will collapse as well. At that time, even an ascendant cultivator won't be able to escape. The middle-aged man, Zhou-Yi, had a gloomy expression. The old man's expression changed. His eyes lit up and his body suddenly disappeared from the coffin. When he reappeared, he was behind Red Butterfly. Red Butterfly suddenly turned around and saw the old man smiling at her. This smile contained a hint of gloominess. "Little girl, let me borrow your body for a bit." Several strands of black gas came out from the old man's orifices. They were like small snakes that quickly entered Red Butterfly's orifices. For the first time, Red Butterfly revealed a panicked expression. She knew that struggling was useless, so she immediately raised her right hand. On her wrist was a jade bracelet. Her voice was sharp. "Senior, do you recognize this? The symbol of a core disciple of the Rosefinch country, the Great Origin bracelet." The old man's eyes narrowed. At this moment, the small snakes had already entered Red Butterfly's orifices. Her face immediately turned green and black as she struggled to say, "Senior, this bracelet is connected to my origin soul. If I die, this bracelet will immediately explode. At that time, this fragment will collapse and you won't be able to escape. And even if you escape, Suzaku will have nowhere to hide. This bracelet is the symbol of a core disciple of Suzaku. If anyone with this bracelet is killed, the country of Rosefinch will use a special method to find the killer. You will be hunted by Suzaku." The old man frowned. He let out a snort and said, "Little girl, don't worry, I won't kill you." With that, he raised his head and looked at the middle-aged man, Zhou-Yi, and said, "Zhou-Yi, I'll use this woman's body to fight you. This way, I won't trigger an attack that exceeds the critical point. You should also choose a person to fight." Zhou-Yi's expression was gloomy. "What exactly do you want?" The old man sneered. "You have a celestial corpse on you. I can't be wrong. I want that corpse. A dragon has a reverse scale. Touching it will anger them." To Zhou-Yi, the female corpse was his Achilles heel. "Ting Er, someone has come to steal you again. Everyone who tries to steal you must die, die, die." Zhou-Yi's eyes revealed a strange light as he stared at the old man. Then he pointed at Chi-Hu and said, "You, come here." Chi-Hu's expression immediately became ugly. He hesitated for a bit and didn't dare to struggle. He let out a sigh and flew toward Zhou-Yi. Beside Zhou-Yi, he used some unknown spell to sit in the air. A giant, seven-colored ray of light appeared above Zhou-Yi's head and landed on Chi-Hu's head. Chi-Hu's eyes immediately revealed a struggle. Zhou-Yi calmly said, "Be my avatar once. As long as you listen to me, not only will you not die, but you will also be able to comprehend my domain." Chi-Hu hesitated for a bit and gave up resisting. Soon, his eyes became brighter and brighter and his aura began to rise. "Haha, out of these three little fellows, I chose the innate 5-spirit body. You chose the ancient devil bloodline. Only an ordinary person is left. This person is useless, Scram." The old man laughed and then fiercely stared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he coldly looked at the old man. Without saying a word, he turned around and left. He didn't want to get involved in this mess. Since he could leave now, he naturally wouldn't waste any time. Red Butterfly revealed a vicious expression and suddenly said, "Say, Senior, kill him. If you kill him, I will give up resisting and help you with all my strength. However, you must guarantee my safety." Red Butterfly's eyes revealed a malicious light as she suddenly said. The old man's eyes lit up. He raised his right hand and was about to grab Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. He waved his hand and the broken restriction flag appeared in his hand. He mockingly said, "Red Butterfly, if you want this place to collapse, you can try." Restriction flag? The old man's eyes lit up. He stared at the small flag in Wang Lin's hand and took a deep breath. "Only one more restriction and it will reach 99 group. This person isn't lying. Once it reaches 99 groups, it will trigger divine retribution. In the celestial realm, divine retribution is celestial retribution. Its power. Once it appears, no one will be able to survive, not even this person." The old man revealed a trace of dread and quickly withdrew his right hand. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. He stopped next to the passage and looked at the four people in the distance. "Since I'm here, I'm not in a rush to leave. I might as well watch how the vicissitude battles. Rest for a few days. Today it snowed so heavily. Looking at the snow, I thought about Shui Yu's attack and almost hallucinated." Chapter 3:15. Chi-Hu's eyes became brighter and brighter. Finally, he let out a roar and his body suddenly stood up. With a series of crackling sounds, his body immediately grew several times larger. His height was now around 30 feet, making him look like an iron tower. Veins wriggled on his body like earthworms. At that moment, he looked like a fiend god. Behind him, an illusory figure appeared. This illusory figure gradually became more solid. It was the middle-aged man, Zhou Yi. As for Zhou Yi's original body, he was sitting in the lotus position behind Qi Hu with his eyes closed. Looking back at Red Butterfly, her face was covered in a dark purple color. Only 2 balls of red light could be seen coming from her eyes. The ribbons on her hair were also torn, causing her long hair to flutter without any wind. Strands of death aura spread out from her body and filled the surroundings. There was also an illusory figure behind her. This illusory figure wasn't the old man, but a handsome man. However, if one looked closely, they would find that this man looked very similar to the old man. It was clear that this was the old man when he was young. At this moment, his body was covered in black fog. As for his original body, he was sitting in the lotus position on top of the coffin with his eyes closed. Although the man's body was covered in black fog, one could faintly see a strange pattern on his body. This pattern was a monster with a single horn on its head. Qi Hu let out a roar and his body suddenly moved. His huge body did not lose its agility. He was as fast as lightning and his momentum was like thunder as he crazily charged forward. He clenched his fists and a giant vortex appeared on the illusory figure behind him. A powerful suction force immediately spread out. The valiant man behind Red Butterfly immediately formed a seal with his hands. At the same time, Red Butterfly's hands also moved and formed a seal. Suddenly, streams of deathly aura quickly formed in front of her and turned into a bow. The moment Qi Hu charged over, Red Butterfly's eyes lit up. She grabbed the longbow and immediately pulled it. Bang! When she let go, a gray strand of death aura turned into an arrow and collided with Qi Hu. Bang! The ground trembled, but it didn't shatter. It was clear that Qi Hu and Red Butterfly's attacks were still at the late stage of soul formation and hadn't exceeded it. However, the Dharma laws of heaven and earth contained in such an attack were much more powerful than those of the soul formation level. Qi Hu's body retreated several hundred feet and he coughed out blood. The middle-aged man behind him frowned and formed a seal with his hands. Qi Hu also moved and began to chant a strange chant. Suddenly, the sky darkened. Strands of strange energy flew out from the spatial cracks and quickly gathered in front of Qi Hu. In the blink of an eye, a giant orb appeared before him, emitting a formidable aura. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he looked at the scene in the distance. He seemed to have understood something. Using the power of heaven and earth was obviously more ingenious than borrowing it. The eyes of the valiant man behind Red Butterfly flashed. The illusory figure suddenly turned into green smoke and entered the top of Red Butterfly's head. Red Butterfly immediately let out a few involuntary groans and her body began to tremble. But immediately, 4 different colored spiritual bodies drilled out from her body and stood in front of her. Why was he missing an earth spirit? A deep male voice came from Red Butterfly's body. When Wang Lin saw the 4 spiritual bodies, his eyes lit up and he remained silent. After the 4 spirit body appeared in front of Red Butterfly, Qi Hu suddenly let out a loud roar. A pained expression appeared on his face as the image of an axe on his forehead continuously flickered. It became faster and faster until it finally left his body and collided with the huge sphere in front of him. Suddenly, the orb trembled and began to move strangely. Its shape changed, and it turned into a heaven-splitting axe. Popping sounds came from all the pores on Qi Hu's body and he coughed out a large amount of blood. His entire body was like a person made of blood. He grabbed the axe and charged toward Red Butterfly. His aura was like a rainbow and his body was like red. My domain is infatuation. Because I'm infatuated with love, I can reach the peak of intent. This infatuation can shake the heavens and move the earth. Qi Hu, I'll use your body once to let you experience the domain that I haven't displayed in 1,000 years. Even if you die, you can rest in peace. The illusionary figure behind Chi Hu slowly opened its mouth. At this moment, there was a strange domain on Chi Hu's body. Chi Hu's face no longer showed any signs of pain. Instead, it revealed a crazed battle intent that would make anyone's heart tremble. His eyes were filled with determination. He wasn't looking at Red Butterfly, but at the axe in his hand. His determination became even stronger. Infatuation sometimes wasn't a person, it could also be an object. Chi Hu's infatuation was this axe. At this moment, his Tao heart was also this axe. As long as the axe doesn't shatter, his battle spirit won't be extinguished. This determination turned into a powerful battle intent. At this moment, Chi Hu, who was holding the axe, was like a giant that could split the heavens and earth. Infatuation is also an obsession, a stubborn belief. This Zhou Yi's domain is very strange. Even though Chi Hu is only a spirit-severing cultivator, this aura has the power to slay immortals. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with shock. He immediately realized the true meaning of this infatuation. Red Butterfly's eyes lit up. She suddenly pointed to between her eyebrows and a rose appeared. However, this rose was no longer red, but black. The two stamens of the black rose were torn off by her without any hesitation. She threw all of the petals into the air and fused with the 4 heavenly spirits to form a powerful vortex. At the same time, a cloud of green smoke came out from between Red Butterfly's eyebrows. The moment the green smoke appeared, it turned into a handsome man. He entered the vortex and the vortex immediately stopped moving. As the rumbling sounds echoed, the vortex fused with the handsome man. As it squirmed, it turned into a monster with only one head. This monster grinned and let out a silent roar. Red Butterfly's body trembled. After the handsome man left her body, she involuntarily retreated a few steps. The black aura on her face disappeared and her face was terrifyingly pale. Her eyes regained consciousness. Chi Hu arrived and cleaved down with his axe. A ray of light streaked across the sky. The monster roared again and clawed at him. Bang! The axe was bounced back and countless black petals fell from the monster's claw. Chi Hu's eyes became sharp and he swung his axe again. Bang! The monster's claw shattered, revealing its 2 stamens. Bang! 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 After 3 more swings, the stamens completely collapsed. However, the axe in Chi Hu's hand also shattered into specks of light when the monster's horn collided with it. However, the monster also dissipated into nothingness. At this moment, the old man sitting on the coffin trembled and coughed out a mouthful of black blood. His body weakened and he looked like he no longer had any magic power left. Chi Hu's body violently trembled as he stared blankly at his empty right hand. His faith was this heaven-splitting axe. His battle intent was born from this axe, and his Tao heart was also this heaven-splitting axe. At this moment, the axe collapsed and the infatuation that Zhou Yi placed on his body also disappeared. Chi Hu's eyes revealed a trace of clarity, but he immediately let out a miserable groan. Pain, his body was in pain, excruciating pain. Chi Hu's head fell to the ground. His face was pale without any trace of blood. Wang Lin stared at the scene before him in a daze and sucked in a breath of cold air. My Tao heart, what is it? Red Butterfly and Chi Hu regained their clarity. Zhou Yi's figure also returned to his head and slowly descended. However, just at this moment, a giant, black ghost claw suddenly reached out from the void and reached toward Zhou Yi. The ghostly claw was very close to Zhou Yi. His Yuan spirit, which had left his body, immediately changed its expression. It let out a roar and quickly rushed towards his body. The instant the ghostly claw reached him, his Yuan spirit entered his body and dodged to the side. However, it was still caught by the ghostly claw. A large wound appeared on Zhou Yi's abdomen and blood sprayed everywhere. However, this ghost claw's target wasn't Zhou Yi's body, but his bag of holding. Zhou Yi's body was only lightly grazed by the ghost claw. As for his bag of holding, it completely collapsed and countless items flew out. Among them was a pagoda that was caught by the ghost claw and quickly returned. No! Zhou Yi's eyes were bloodshot. He ignored the wound on his abdomen and let out a mournful cry that seemed to pierce through the heavens. He didn't hesitate to give up on his body. His origin soul left his body and chased after the pagoda. Ting Er, I won't let anyone take you away from me. Never. Without the control of his origin soul, Zhou Yi's body immediately sprayed out blood. His face was as pale as paper and he fell to the side. For Ting Er, Zhou Yi was willing to die even if his body was destroyed. Thousands of years of companionship, talking to each other every day and guarding each other for years. All of this made Zhou Yi's heart hurt, but at the same time, he went crazy. Ting Er was his reverse scale. Zhou Yi's primordial spirit sprang forward at lightning speed. However, the old man on the coffin suddenly opened his eyes and appeared before Zhou Yi's primordial spirit with a flicker. He burst out laughing and said, Zhou Yi, you are indeed strong. If you were given another 1,000 years, it wouldn't be impossible for you to reach the ascendant stage. However, you don't know that the old man is the head elder of the Serene sect and has 3 souls. You only destroyed one of my souls. How could you let me die? As he laughed, the ghostly claw behind him turned into a young man. This young man looked very similar to the old man, and he was holding the pagoda in his hand. Wang Lin looked at the scene before him and took a deep breath. His gaze landed on the weakened red butterfly on the ground. At this moment, Zhou Yi's eyes were filled with madness as he stared at the old man like a ferocious beast. Give Ting Er to me! Ting Er? Haha, Zhou Yi, you actually gave a corpse a name. This is the corpse of a celestial. I'm afraid when she was born, you were still in the reincarnation cycle. The old man let out a laugh and the young man behind him also let out a laugh. His right hand hit the pagoda and a ray of white light flew out. The female corpse appeared. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.